Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Vainglory League it is. My name is Blueberries, and again, Don John, how do you feel today?
Very, very good. I'm looking forward for those best of 32 matches in EU and in North America. We have as well an awesome crew as yesterday with us, and yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward because we are going to see also the champions of Europe this time.
Yep.
We saw yesterday, or no, we didn't see Liberation. We only
We
talked about
didn't.
Liberation.
We saw Gangsters,
Right.
the returning champion from not returning now champion. This is another team, but the first world champion. We saw them. That is right. But today we're going to see the European champions. No one else than MediaPixel Team 1. They're facing Reliable Union. So MediaPixel is seat number 1 in their bracket, and Reliable Union is seat number 9. So they are a little bit of the underdog, but Reliable Union, we will see who is actually on their roster and what they are able to do. We know that MediaPixel has some interesting comps in their pocket, but we will see. We reached the round of 32 today. After today, we know already the top 16 teams after just one weekend, and it is the most stressful, powerful weekend we always have on Saturday, Sunday. So I'm very excited for tonight's matches. There are a couple of more, but I would actually say, hey, we can talk about the brackets and all that kind of stuff later on. We want to see matches. Let's jump into the draft and ban.
Yeah, and therefore we can actually introduce. Oop, that is obviously not right.
All
Excuse
right.
me. And yeah, so we can introduce our dear Rome and have him predicting a little bit with us what Rebel Union and Media Pixel, for example, is playing, because we know he digged deep into the European meta as well. So welcome, Rome.
Great to be here again today.
Great.
And yeah, coming onto today is like we're gonna see a bunch more matches across the board that are more gonna be even more exciting than yesterday, because as this tournament progresses, the team and the competition just gets closer and closer.
So that is definitely right. We have the bans and the draft ready as far as we see, and the first ban here is a Sky ban from Reliable Union against MediaPixel. Let's quickly wait for MediaPixel's ban here, and that is actually
Castro.
a Castrol. So Sky is out, Castrol is out. What do you expect to happen here in this first match?
So this is just like yesterday where we saw like a lot of bans like primarily focusing on early jungle dominance. So on with Reliable Union is banning the Sky, it gives them an opportunity to actually opt out for very strong junglers, especially when they do get that first pick and first ban. So with them in the junglers, they want to secure heroes like Arden, heroes like Koshka, Glaive, and it helps them out a lot because there is no Kestra or Sky to be like an opposing force.
Yep. Okay, so definitely here excited for the first pick, but it's nothing too special. Reliable Union here going for the Arden pick, so that looks definitely safe and sound here, trying to be on the safe side. We have seen in the first match day Rome a lot of those early Stormguard rushes from both Romas on all sides. Do you think like this is a solid thing now, or do you think it really depends on the strategy? Will we see roamers buying other items from the start?
Definitely, like buying a Stormguard banner like as one of your first core items, it's actually very good because it gives you that extra influence in terms of damage output. But like what people have to be cautious about is when they do start off with Stormguard banner, they might opt out and try and finish a second item as like a different a more supportive item, like going a fountain or a crucible, instead of finishing like a warhorn or a contraption, which because they when they go all in too much for the first tier 3 item, they're actually losing out like when they hit level 6.
Yeah, I see. Okay, Mowgli is calling out here for MediaPixel Esports. No one else than Vox and Glaive. They feel comfortable picking those two, but let's wait for Reliable Union so we can lock in here their final picks, which are Koshka and Ringo. So let's see what the last guy is from MediaPixel, and it is a Finn. So Rome, Arden, Koshka, and Ringo on Reliable Union. MediaPixel with a Finn, Glaive, and Vox. We have seen tremendous plays from Mediapixel, especially in the European Live Championships in Katowice. Will we see this here again, or do you think Reliable Union was maybe watching those replays and were actually calculating that?
Just looking at the team compositions right now, I do favor like a little bit more in the Reliable Union's composition because they have such an early game aggressive composition where they have an advantage in lane and they have an advantage in the jungle. But how they execute this plan and how they try to pretty much run from the early game to the mid game and how they execute it so that they can win as fast as they can. Because we've seen Mowgli play this Finn. His positioning is really well, and his team knows how to play around him. And that's the thing that you have to notice with Finn is because once he gets to that late game, he gets that item builds up, and then he starts using his Force of Cores to make plays. Coming in with a Vox and a Glaive, they're sure to win after the 15-minute mark.
All right, so that being said, just telling the teams here to kick off the match. We are excited to see Mediapixel Team 1 here, Mediapixel Esport, facing Reliable Union in the round of 32. It's the second round of the VGL qualifier, and once again, the amateur series are kicking off parallel, so exactly now the teams know who they're going to face again, and it's the very important round for the amateur series, by the way. So if the amateur series, the teams are going to win today, they already made it to the top 32, and then they will face the bottom 32 of the second qualifier on February 12th. So long story short, we are loading into the fold. No long break here for the first match. We are going to throw it over to our casters of the day, Action Jackson, Vedius. Take it away, guys.
All right, thank you very much, guys. My name's Action Jackson. I'm here with Vedius. As you just heard, we're going to be jumping onto the fold for this first match between Mediapixel and Unreliable Union. It's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. Excited to see this Finn pick up from Mediapixel.
Yeah, I am certainly as well. It's fantastic to be back again. Hopefully I don't sound as tinny as I did yesterday, and we have resolved that. And this Finn, as you mentioned it, we saw it work out so fantastically well yesterday. Once he hit that level 6 mark, once he was able to use that Force Accord, those fights, those engagements that he was setting up were absolutely fantastic. So really looking forward to seeing that again. And a Vox, we haven't cast a Vox in a while, I do believe. And as I said, he's actually taking quite a lot of poke from Lampo up in the lane.
Yeah, I mean, Vox is one of those heroes that does struggle a little bit when it comes to laning, but because everything's slowed down a bit recently, he does become super strong later on. Mowgli trying to get him to that point earlier with that Polite Company afterburn comes in as well. Look at Lampoka just taking a ton of damage there. It's exactly what you want to be doing when you've got a Vox, trying to help him through the early game a little bit.
That's exactly it. You realize in this matchup that it's going to be a very tough time for you as he takes a lot of damage.
Negalas with the speed boost from Vanguard tries to get the kill. The healing potion comes through, but the turret is doing so much damage. Negalas is going to go down. Polite Company keeping Lycod a little bit closer, but unfortunately no one else was there to help out. So that's going to be a 1-for-1 trade.
But unfortunately for Qualifier, he didn't actually do any damage to Neoglass, so he went down to the turret as a result of that. So it actually ended up being a 1-for-0 in favor of Neoglass, being able to pick up that early kill. And this is something that you would expect from a Koshka. You heard Rome talking about it. The composition coming out from Reliable Union is very much about that early game. They want to set up those early game plays. They want to take advantage of the early game damage that they have available to them, and they are doing just that. Putting Qualifier behind in the early game is exactly what they need to do, and they're doing a great job of it so far.
Yeah, they absolutely are, and they need to be looking to continue on this pressure moving forwards to be in a good position moving into the later stages of the game. I like that Lycod is spending a decent amount of time up here, though. He's sort of denying that opportunity. Polite Company not going to land onto anyone, and Negalas goes right back in here. Lots of damage onto Kavala. He's going to have to back out of there. Negalas does take some return poke, but he's going to be relatively safe.
Yeah, Neoglass, he did alright to try and get some damage down onto Qualifier, but wasn't quite able because he was very aware of Mowgli's positioning. But they're still doing a good job of shutting Qualifier down. You can see only level 2 to level 3 right now, sitting at about 10 CS behind Lampo on this Ringo, and this is pretty much how the lane should be playing out. This is a pretty expected start coming out from Reliable Union, but as you heard from Rome, once we hit that 15-minute mark, once some major items have been completed, we're going to see a shift in how the game is being played. So it's down to Reunion to try and force these fights early, and as I say that, they're looking for one right now.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Finding a few members of the enemy team by the shop. I'm not sure they've got enough damage to just mow through Mowgli right now, though. He is quite tanky already. Having picked up that Life Spring and Kinetic Shield, it's hard for especially Neoglass to do the damage there, but they're going to go for another fight here. Mowgli this time is falling pretty low. Ringo's doing some good damage there. Is it going to be enough? Safe with a great afterburn to get his teammate to safety there. Very nice work from him.
Yeah, really nice stuff. Mowgli really being a beast right now, really being the big bear from the Jungle Book that he needs to be on that Finn, tanking up a lot of the damage and still able to get away, but still no early kills coming out. Still sitting at that 1-0 record in favor of Union, but Qualifier needs to be careful.
Man, I mean, just the amount of damage he takes from very small amounts of poke of Lampoka is crazy. He's even itemized that light shield straight off the bat. It's not really doing enough to mitigate the damage so far.
It certainly isn't. And but for those that aren't that familiar with the teams, Media Pixel, the reason they're currently sitting at Seed 1 in this group is because they were the live champion winners of Europe, and they came out with a lot of unconventional picks. They were the guys bringing out a lot of this Finn at the actual live championship, so it was very impressive to see. And coming into this, they're not really the underdogs like they were in the live championships. They have a lot to prove, but right now,
Whoa,
this game,
look at that damage!
not going in their favor.
Yeah, he just jumps right on in there, and when you've got the long-range backup to follow up the burst of the Koshka coming out of that Ringo pickup, you can really annihilate people very quickly. Qualifier is going to go down, so that's the second kill now going over to the side of Reliable Union. They're doing a great job in this early game.
Exactly. They're doing what we've been talking about so much. They're trying to shut down Qualifier as much as possible on this Vox. They don't want him to be that massive late game threat, so they feel if they can shut him down now, that's a much better scenario for them to be put in. So great stuff coming out from them. And have a look at this tension bow that's actually been picked up by Scythe that suggests that they might be looking for a few early game plays themselves. Tension bow, typically quite an early game item. It does give you a bit more a burst during this stage of play. So we'll have to see how well they're able to optimize that as we progress through to the 5 to 10 minute mark.
Yeah, that is a very good point. Now, one thing I want to talk about real quick, because we mentioned it a lot yesterday, it's still going to be an important point coming into this game. Mowgli, keep an eye on when he hits level 6, gets access to that ultimate ability. Qualifier takes a lot of damage right there. And, you know, if Mowgli did have Forced Accord, we might have seen a re-engage under the tower. That's the kind of thing that you need to be aware of with the Finn in the game. So keep your eyes out for that one. We are only 6.5 minutes into the game, roughly. But we are already seeing a 1,000, close to 2,000 gold lead being developed for the side of Reliable Union.
Alright, so back here, going on a quick pause and back to us for a second while we fix the technical thing. We discovered a little tiny little thing.
Yeah, we want to be perfect today, and also we heard it. We have apparently something running in the background, which was double looping, but it's perfectly now.
Already fixed.
So we should be good to go. Back to the casters. Enjoy the match.
All right, let's get straight back into things, guys. The unpause comes out. Sorry for that little blip, but we are all good now. Having a look across the board like I was just doing with regards to the advantages built up on either side. We've got that 2,000 gold lead, as I was saying, going in favor of Reliable Union. We're also seeing pretty substantial CS differentials in lane and in the jungle.
Yeah, we certainly are, and have a look at these items that have been picked up as well. You can already see double reflex block coming out from the side of Reliable Union. They've also had the Sorrow Blade picked up for Lampo, and this could be a great opportunity for them to look for a fight, and as I say that, they are hanging around the lane, potentially looking for a play. You can also see the Aftershock now been picked up for that Koshka as well. So big items being picked up. This is exactly when Union want to take advantage of this spike. I don't know if Mowgli's the target they really want to be focusing on.
Yeah, that is a good question to me. Force core comes through. They didn't reflex block it, so they're pulled right under the turret. The gauntlet comes down just to try and buy some time, and they're actually doing a good amount of damage onto safe. Reliable Union in a nice spot here. The brew comes out onto safe, but that actually puts Lampoka in a tough spot. Now the return damage. Neoglass jumps in. He's got the shield, but is it going to be enough? The burning is still going on to safe, but he is able to get to the safety of his turret. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade between these two teams, but man, that one could have gone either way.
Yeah, it was kind of a messy fight, really. What looked like a fantastic engage coming out from Mowgli really didn't amount to much, simply because that Qualifier hadn't had an opportunity to complete any major items yet. He wasn't really doing that much damage, and then he was somewhat out of position, able to get caught out by Neoglass. He threw the Yummy Catnip Frenzy on top of him. He then got deleted almost immediately, but thanks to the turret's additional damage, they were able to get a return kill. So, bit of a messy engagement, very back and forth, but I think that MediaPixel are going to be pretty happy with that. We talked about how strong this early game composition is from Reliable Union, and if they're trading only 1-for-1, that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, speaking about trading, safe trading some blows down here with Neoglass, going to afterburn Lycod back, stop that engagement from going on too much longer. Safe hasn't picked up too many items yet, so he's not in a position where he can necessarily out-damage that Koshka. You see Reliable Union, they're very aware of that. They're aggressively pushing in, getting the deep vision into the jungle of MediaPixel, and they're actually going for the gold mine right now, falling extremely fast. Here comes the afterburn. That's going to be a force to cord as well. Lycod in a bad spot, but Neoglass is already here. Yummy Catnip Frenzy right down onto safe. He's falling extremely low. Going to go down. 4 kills now in total for the side of Reliable Union. MediaPixel, they're going to have to back away under their turret.
Great pickup of the gold miner there for MediaPixel. Getting a massive gold payout is exactly what they need. They ended up losing safe, but I don't think they're going to be too upset about that. Trading 1 kill for that major objective is absolutely massive for that, and I would take that trade any day. They may end up losing this turret as a result, but still not a bad trade overall.
Yeah, I have to agree with you right now, and at the moment, I think MediaPixel, they could be doing maybe a little bit better, but in terms of the expected results of this early game, you know, it could be going a lot worse. Neoglass, we've seen Koshka's run away with games before. He's not quite doing it yet, actually sitting at 1, 2, and 3, so not having a crazy good game. Lampoka, though, is having a great time in the lane, 2-0-1 with 91 creeps picked up at the moment.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job, sitting at about a 20 creep advantage over his lane counterpart, and he looks like he's working towards some pretty big items himself. But one thing I do want to note now is Qualifier, he's been able to pick up the reflex block. You can also see that he's completed that alternating curry. He did pick it up quite a while ago, but he's going to start doing that damage. We're going to start seeing this late game Vox start to develop. It is around that 50-minute mark that he really will come into a league of his own, and that is when Reliable Union really need to be careful about how they execute these fights. These Fountain of Renewals on both sides are also going to be doing a lot in these engagements, but these reflex blocks are going to be absolutely massive. So keep an eye on that as the fight progresses. And I'm really excited to see how things go, as it looks like they're grouping up for another fight.
Neoglass immediately putting down some good poke. He is going to get hooked in by the force to cord. And here comes the turnaround. Safe trying to get some poke down. Going to afterburn out of that gauntlet. That does keep him safe for now. Mowgli as well with the passive. Cannot be stunned. So very good against that ultimate ability from the Arden. Ultimately, that actually was a pretty good engagement for the side of MediaPixel. 2 ultimates burned on the side of Reliable Union, but no kills secured.
Yeah, that wasn't a fantastic ultimate from Lycod. He did throw the gauntlet down, but you can see that the reflex block wasn't forced out of Qualifier. They're not going to be too upset about that, and either way, it was pretty much a message being sent by both teams. Oh, you want to fight? Yeah, well, we don't, so we're just going to back off, and nothing too much happened. You can see now Union hanging up around this gold mine. That is going to go down very quickly, so they're going to very easily pick up that objective, get themselves 180 gold off the back of that, and now they've been able to gain a little bit more vision control over the map. If we just have a quick browse through the map, you can have a look at some of the scout traps that have been put down, and there isn't actually that much vision across the map, which is somewhat surprising considering the caliber of these teams. You'd imagine that Reliable Union at this point, they want to be trying to make those aggressive plays. They want to try and push that vision up and try and get a little bit more control over the MediaPixel's half of the map. But they're not trying to go for that. They don't seem to be trying to make these very aggressive plays, and that's a little bit worrying for me considering how well this MediaPixel composition scales.
I have to agree with you. No, we're seeing a lot of times, and for example, right now, Mowgli in his inventory does not have any scout traps, but does have flares. They did get buffed. Makes a lot of sense to use those. Right now, though, they've actually been flanked in here. They're deep in enemy territory on the side of Media Pixel. Neoglass tries to go in here. Can he find that good Yummy Cat and Frenzy Afterburn? Keeping Lycod away from the fight. Force Port comes through. Look at the damage. Quibble actually chunking out Lycod there. This might be a nice opportunity for the side of Media Pixel to take their first one fight. Straight up, they have got one kill, not lost anyone yet. Neoglass very low as well. Polite Company keeping Lycod in range for Kalov. He's trying to do a little bit more damage. They want to get some siege pressure onto this turret. Can they find it? Lycod face checking the bush is going to be knocked back by that afterburn, but he is so tanky right now. Qualifier can't even get through that damage. Neoglass jumping back in. He is very, very low. Caval, he's got to be careful not to jump into this gauntlet. That's going to be the trade. Neoglass falling down there, and now Safe and Mowgli in a tough spot. We've got Lampoka back from base, starting to put down the hurt. Safe's got to get on out of here. Doesn't have a lot of energy, but he should be able to afterburn quite soon. On the flip side, we are seeing Mowgli just go steal those back camps, knowing he can't walk out of there. Could have been a worse fight. I mean, overall, that was an extended 2-for-1 trade in favor of Media Pixel.
Yeah, that was a very long trade between the two teams. It lasted so long that Lampo died and then had enough time to come back, respawn, and then rejoin the fight. That was very... It was a bit of an overextension from Media Pixel. They didn't need to stay that long. They realized that there were two very low health targets on the side of Union, and they wanted to try and take advantage of that. But that initial fight was played very, very well by Pixel. The positioning from Qualifier was outstanding. His ultimate actually went down onto 3 members, and that did so much damage across all of them that really swung the fight in their favor. Now he's picked up that Shatter Glass, he's going to be doing even more damage. He is getting to such a strong point. Even with a score of 1-for-1, he's being so impactful in these engagements. So very impressive stuff coming out from Media Pixel, but they need to be careful. The gold difference isn't that big right now. You can see that the gold mine is starting to get bigger. Maybe Media Pixel will look to set up an engage, maybe contest for that objective, but right now they're just hanging around the bush. And here comes the Force Core.
It hits 3 people. That's going to be a huge ultimate out of Qualifier, and this is a bad fight for Reliable Union. They need to book it on out of there. Excellent engagement coming out from Media Pixel. This is the power of that late game Finn, just hooking your team in, especially if you don't have vision. It's hard to use that reflex block to dodge that one. Immense payout collected off the back of that for the side of Media Pixel. They've actually narrowed the gold gap by about 1,000 off the back of that play alone.
That was such a great engagement from Mowgli, getting the 3-man Force to Court into a 3-man Quibble. He's gone for the overloaded Quibble, which means it does stun, and that was just such a beautiful setup for Qualifier to then get his ultimate down onto as many members as possible, do a huge amount of damage, and knowing that they had the health advantage, they were easily able to transition down and pick up the gold mine at just the right time. Very well played from Media Pixel, utilizing that objective play fantastically.
Yeah, absolutely, and they got the gold mine just in time because it is now past 15 minutes, guys. The Kraken has spawned. That was the last opportunity to cash in on that miner. Very well played by Media Pixel, taking the advantages they can find when they can find them. It's going to be a tough uphill battle, I would say, from this point on for Reliable Union. They've had a decent early game, but nothing spectacular, and against the composition that Media Pixel are running, you kind of need to have that spectacular early game. See Mowgli waiting around here. He's going to flare, waiting a little bit, trying to bait out any reflex blocks. He's going to get the hook onto Lampoka. The damage is immense right now from the side of Media Pixel. Qualifier has come into his own. Lycod, he's going to go down. Neoglass, the last man standing on the side of Reliable Union, and I would not envy him right now. It's going to be tough for him to do anything in this situation. I don't see him trying to seal away this Kraken. Media Pixel, it's their time to shine now.
That was brilliant. That was such a great play from Mowgli. We saw this yesterday with Finn, and we talked about how once they hit that 15-minute mark, Rowan was saying it earlier, the moment the 15-minute mark comes around, you're going to see this composition come into its own, and you saw it right there. Lampo didn't even get an opportunity to do anything. He got deleted off the map. He was gone before they get a chance, and they land another forced accord.
The reflex block was way too late because the shield went down to Kvalifar's big damage as well. Afterburn secured the kill. Now Mowgli, looking maybe for a dive here, is going to back off a little bit. They're just going to play this safe, play it measured, and take away that turret. Look at the burst out of Kvalifar, man. Just jumping in there with some initial upfront damage. They got the Kraken pushing on the turret right now. Reliable Union, they've got their backs against the walls trying to defend this push.
Forced Accord is already available as well. They could look to make another play, and here it is!
Oh, Forced Accords again and again from Mowgli. He has been on point with that ability. Never mind the Black Feather. Very well played from him. And of course, MediaPixel showing their proficiency on this hero, using these kinds of compositions that we saw from them at the Live Championships. The turrets are falling very fast. They're trying to take down Kvalifar on the side of Reliable Union. Stop that push. There's going to be the Yummy Catnip Frenzy, but I'm not sure he really wants to go in right now. Kvalifar, he's got the reflex block, but he does get stunned by the gauntlet. The damage is huge. He is going to go down. It's now up to Safe and Mowgli to try and get something back for this Blight. Company comes through. Mowgli, the Forced Accord falls just short. And that is going to be Neoglass getting out of there. Mowgli with no energy is in a very bad spot right now. He is certainly going to go down, just giving up, standing there and letting it happen. I think that's reasonable. Bowing down to the mad plays of Neoglass to get away from that Forced Accord. But man, huge power play coming out of the side of MediaPixel. It all started from one pick. They got the Kraken and they pushed a whole huge amount of the base of Reliable Union.
That was such a great play coming out from MediaPixel. They just did exactly what they needed to do. They played their comp exactly the way it's supposed to be played. You just have to be patient. You have to wait for those major items, wait until you have an opportunity to ramp up, and you can see it with the itemization how well they've played around Kvalifar. They have so much trust in this guy. They know that he can be the carry if they can just keep him alive, and they've done just that. Unfortunately, they do overextend just a little bit. They end up handing over a couple kills to Reliable Union, and because of the changes to the gold bounty, that gold gap has closed once again. So even though MediaPixel picked up, I believe, 4 turrets off the back of that push, the gold gap still isn't that different, so they need to be careful. You can see the breaking point now picked up for Lampo, which is absolutely massive when playing against a Finn, because you can stack it up insanely quickly, and that is going to be a lot of damage. The Hellfire Brew comes out. This could be an opportunity that Reliable Union are looking for to potentially set up an engagement, but they're not going to get much off the back of that. MediaPixel just going to go back, and everything is going to be reset off the back of that.
I love how passively MediaPixel are playing right now. They know that the way they win these fights is by getting picks. You know, you've got to actually catch the enemy unaware, get the Forced Accord, get some kind of crowd control down. And so when they're in a position where Reliable Union knows where they are, they don't try and set anything up. They play it super carefully. With Kraken not spawned yet, you know, they've got a little bit of time to work with before they can get the big push into the base of Reliable Union with all of the advantages they know that they can find for themselves. Here we go, though. Safe and Mowgli playing pretty far up right now. Mowgli, he's going to be fishing for this Forced Accord, throws it out, gets onto Neoglass, but that actually brings him a little bit closer to Kvalifar. He's going to land the Yummy Catnip Frenzy. Kvalifar taking so much damage, but Neoglass goes down. Lampoka is untouched, however, in the back line. It is a bad situation for Safe and Mowgli right now. They can't get onto him until Mowgli gets a little bit of cooldowns back. That is going to be the Blight Company. He's just buying time. Forced Accord, keeping them off of Safe, but Reliable Union, even off the back of losing that fight earlier, still have some chops. They pick up the return.
And this is the risk that you have when running with the changes to the shutdown gold that you get. They managed to close the gap. They picked up some major items. I talked about that breaking point being massive, and you saw how much damage Lampo is now doing off the back of that. That infusion was doing so much work for him. It was such a great pickup. But as well as that, Kvalifar just dropped so quickly. They couldn't quite get the peel down that they really needed to. He wasn't allowed to stay alive long enough, really make the most out of that broken myth pickup that he's got. You can see he's even itemized towards the Crucible. I wouldn't be surprised to see a few more Crucibles come out, because him staying alive is the utmost priority for MediaPixel right now. Things were looking super one-sided in the early game. They went in the favor of Media, but right now it is super even between these two teams.
That was a 90-second cooldown on 2 members of Reliable Union burned for no gain with the Kraken up. So this is a good opportunity for MediaPixel. The thing is that with Forced Accord, and we saw this last fight, Mowgli has to be careful about when and where he uses it. He might try and pick up Neoglass right now. He's going to use that Polite Company, Lycod, taking a lot of damage off on the side from Qualifier, safe with the Afterburn, but he's just knocking people into Qualifier. Guys, you got to protect him, not condemn him to death. Now Safe is in a bad spot. This is a huge fight for Reliable Union. They are certainly going to be picking up the Kraken off the back of that. Neoglass, in fact, looking for more kills too. He wants to get the ace regeneration for his team. Likely gonna find it too. Mowgli super low, juking in and out of these bushes, but Neoglass predicts it, waits around, and finds his team the ace. This could be huge for the side of Reliable Union. 50 seconds on Mowgli's respawn timer. How much can they take from this push?
They could very well take the game. If not, they're going to take a large number of turrets, thanks to the massive death timers that are currently sitting on top of MediaPixel. That was such a bad fight for MediaPixel. Not only did they have the Kraken aggroed on top of them, but that Forced Accord dragging everyone right next to Qualifier was exactly the opposite of what you wanted. This is going to be the last-ditch effort of MediaPixel to try and defend their base, but with these empowered minions, with the Kraken heading towards that Vein Crystal, we'll have to see whether or not they can hold out, because this is a very tense game right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 5 seconds left on Mowgli, so they are going to have all 3 members up for the majority of this next fight, but the Kraken is a big threat. It's like having 5 members on your team versus 3. That's going to be the Hellfire Brood going on to Qualifier. Can they turn this one around? The turret falls. Vein Crystal extremely low. That's game. Reliable Union pick up the first win in this best of 3.
And this is off the back of the changes to the comeback potential. The shutdown gold that you're able to pick up now is absolutely insane, and a few very poorly played fights resulted in Reliable Union being able to take a game off the first seed in the first game of the day. Fantastic stuff. Just having a quick look at the itemization, you can see some pretty interesting stuff, and we're going to have Rome have a quick, deeper look at it as... So take it away, my friend.
So these guys came and they made a point. They came in there, we're going to be playing the EU champions and we're going to come in this ready. Especially looking at their team compositions, how they picked their bands, they had a plan in place, especially focusing on the Koshka and the Ardent in the jungle. And we saw the difference here, like the creep scores was totally differential between Glaive and Koshka, and they were able to use that dominance. They had the right itemization builds going after Shock with Atlas, and then the Ringo picking up massive damage output with Solar Blade, Breaking Point, and Crit. That was well executed on this team, and I think on MediaPixel is the next game they have to come in, they have to focus a little bit better. Having Mowgli playing that Finn, he made a lot of excellent Forced Accords, but the thing was, he always pulled the entire other team in, and it actually gave them a lot of range, especially when they do have Ardent to Vanguard Ringo into position where he's safe again.
Alright, thanks a lot for the insight here for that match, and let's, while we do the bans and draft and prepare that in the background, we're gonna take a look at their bracket. This is the Catherine region here, the Catherine bracket. And we can see here all the teams updated. MediaPixel facing here Reliable Union, losing that first match. What an intense fight here already in the round of 32. And of course we have 3 other regions. But the Catherine region, I would actually again here throw the ball to Rome and let him talk about potential winners, or who do you think will come out here on top. There are a couple of good matches happening today. So Rome, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, let's look at seed number 1 first. Like we saw how well they did in the live championships in EU, but we also have to remember that they barely got into this tournament because they didn't qualify for it during the first and second qualifiers, and I'm pretty sure there's a reason behind that. So we can't take everything into speculation, but we do have to put a little note on that and like look at previous performances in the first and second qualifiers and what caused them to be able to barely miss out the final cut. We have teams that come in that's like Rebel Lion, who's actually very dominant in the tournament scene. They've been around for a while, sitting at seed number 4. And we have this big tank in SK Prometheus. SK, like we heard yesterday, they won all their games across 3 teams, and they're coming to this tournament with the full force, and they have so many opportunities to actually take it out. We have SK Odyssey. These guys, they pretty much own the ranking system, and they've done so well in the past. After the first, second qualifiers, after their trip in the VIPL in Korea, they had time to manage. They're like, okay, we practice on our schedule, like how we practice every day, our work time. We're going to do some roster changes just to make sure that everybody is in a proper team where they do have that certain level of synergy.
Right, thanks a lot. And we have one spot not filled in yet since we're waiting there on the update from the match outcome. Sadly, not possible there to get insight on that matchup, but nonetheless, we are actually going and jumping immediately into the bans and draft here on VGL. Second matchup coming up. MediaPixel now playing from the left side to the right side here as the blue team, and on the red side we have Reliable Union just showing off their skill no matter what their seed is. There is some distance between 1 and 9 obviously, but this looks pretty good. So let's see, the ban has been requested just in this second, and there it comes. Koshka is the ban, so definitely scared about Reliable Union's Koshka. So looks like a personally focused targeted ban here. What do you think now, Rom? Reliable Union, do you think they were actually thinking about that and they have another plan in their back?
The Koshka band coming out of MediaPixel is actually really smart, seeing as like they are very well known for how they play their jungle compositions, and they tend to choose those heroes that are on the bulkier side. Running into a Koshka who has quite a bit of sustain like naturally, and because her itemization is built around Aftershock, she does so much damage to them last game. So this game they might be thinking, okay, the other team's probably gonna be running through an Arden again, and we're probably going to have to pick up another composition built around Finn. If we're able to take out Koshka and pretty much loosen up their early game, we're able to like maneuver a lot easier while we're transitioning.
All right, so let's see. Just requesting here actually the ban in that second. So teams, of course, they take a little bit their time. And Rom, what do you think? Reliable Union. There comes the ban. Ringo it is against MediaPixel. So they played Ringo themselves, and that pretty strong. You know, we saw the effect of the breaking point. I think a smart choice, but it looks like they ban Ringo just to not hand it over to MediaPixel. What is the strategy behind that?
Okay, so MediaPixel now is going to be allowed to pick first, and my guess is that if they don't pick Finn, or they'll try and opt out for either a Sky pick first or probably an Arden. And then when it comes back to Reliable Union, is because they banned Ringo, we're thinking, what possibly can they pick in their first 2 picks? My first guess would obviously be a Vox, considering without Ringo on the other side of the lane, Vox does have that big room of space to maneuver around. He could carry out the mid to late game as long as they're able to secure something strong in the jungle. With Castro open, with Sky open, I'm pretty sure they're able to find like at least one of those heroes where they have dominance in the jungle and they have a very strong carry in the lane.
All right, and there we see the Castrol pick incoming, of course, here not banned but picked instantly by MediaPixel. And it looks like Reliable Union, they are just, you know, instantly shouting out their picks. So it looks like they were calculating here the Sky or Castrol risk, so to say. And it is no one else than Vox and Arden. So Vox and Arden facing a Castrol so far in this matchup. Rom?
Yeah, so when I saw the Ringo ban, I had a feeling that these guys are already prepping up ahead of time for their 2 consecutive picks, and obviously Vox is going to be one of them. They were just going to wait for MediaPixel to pick one, and then they're going to choose the other 2 options. What now with MediaPixel is they have so much opportunities open where they can choose a Sky, they can choose a Black Feather, and then they could probably finish with a Finn.
All right, we have here exactly the Vox coming in And on the other hand side, still no agreement so far how to round up here the roster from Mediapixel. I mean, it's pretty much their last chance, and I think that would be the most crazy story of this qualifier here. Mediapixel eliminated in the round of 32 here from the Catherine bracket. There will be pretty crazy, but I think Mediapixel, you know, we have actually not Palmachoro playing, we have Saif playing, and I quickly have to recap here. Saif is very known to the esports community in Vainglory. He took part in tons of VGL events together with his buddy Yazan11. Pretty much duo queuing. You faced them a couple of times in the high skill ranks in Europe, and therefore I'm pretty excited to hear their story about, you know, Saif joining Mediapixel, what happened to Yazan11, all that kind of stuff here going on. Pretty excited to hear the story behind that. If the Twitch chat knows more than I do, please let us know what is happening there in terms of team and roster changes. So there we go. Mowgli is going and call out Adagio and Finn. So Adagio and Finn, we are going to lock that in here for Mediapixel. Adagio and Finn roam. That looks pretty interesting together with the Kestrel, right?
Yeah, definitely. This is a composition that I don't see a lot of, but Mediapixel is also very well known for busting out these different compositions that are barely ever seen. What I'm thinking here is if Adagio is going to be running up in the lane, he will have a pretty decent time in the early game. But what the Vox under the team is, once that Vox gets fed, he's going to go rampage, especially on a team where your primary damage dealer is going to be Kestrel, and because of his mobility and his ability to dig deep with Vanguard from Arden, I probably will have to favor a Reliable Union again, just like the last game with their composition wise. But how Mediapixel will execute this is we just have to wait and see. Like, it's going to be very dependent on how they maneuver around Dagio's heals and buffs, and how well Finn will use his Force the Cord for ultimates.
Alright, and I can tell you the answer for that, or the possible try, it is a Taka pick here, last but not least. Pretty interesting. I personally faced Taka a couple of times in rank Q. Not too bad, so 1.13 seems to be here. Yeah, Taka a little bit more back in the competitive scene, in the competitive matches. So actually, let's jump into the match. Just one trailer, and then we will take it away together with the casters.
The battle for the Halcyon Fold has begun.
All right, guys, we're back on the Halcyon Fold for the second game of this series between Mediapixel and Reliable Union. Reliable Union taking game one, a little bit of an upset over the Autumn champions that were Mediapixel. My name's Action Jackson. I'm here with Vedius. Let's get this underway.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm super excited. Who would have thought that Reliable Union, after it looked like a pretty close game, they were so close to actually losing it, that they were actually able to pull it back after a clutch defense of their base and a slight overextension that we saw from Mediapixel. I imagine they're not going to be looking to make the same mistakes in this game, and we are going to be seeing a Kestrel. I'm super excited. I think we both know how talented I am as an individual on Kestrel, so it'll be nice to see someone who can actually play her, put it to good use.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I do find Kestrel's really fun to watch just because it's such a skill shot heavy character that it's really all about playing well. Right now, Qualifier getting ganked in this lane. Lampoka is going to go down. Even with the body blocks from Lycod, he wasn't able to stop the pierce through of the Glimmer shots, picking up the kill. So that's going to be one for each team. Crazy early game gank there.
Yeah, very impressive stuff. You can see the early game damage that the Kestrel can throw out. Just a couple Glimmer shots absolutely deleted Lampo, and now Scythe could be the one in trouble.
Whoa, they're actually diving for this one. Neoglass finds it, but the turret plus Qualifier on that Adagio gets the return kill. So again, it's all even Stevens here in the early game, 2 for 2.
2 for 2 between these two teams. Very tense stuff. But this Taka early game really doing some work. And I did just notice that the Finn does appear to be having some connection issues. So we're going to hand it quickly back over to the fantastic Germans on the desk.
Yeah, thank you very much. We will stay actually in that screen for a second. Since Mowgli, I was looking at the minimap for a couple of seconds and he was not moving. So since we have the opportunity, of course, we are going to pause the game here. What an important match here for Mediapixel. And let's just give it a second or two here, and in the meantime we can still take a look at their bracket where they are playing in and talk a little bit about the other matchups in the different time slots. So if you want to know when other teams are playing, of course we have one featured match per time slot, around about 3 matches per stream. Then we're gonna jump actually into North America. So this is here the Catherine region. We will focus on the others later during the show. And SK Prometheus here qualified, of course, in the first round to the second round, the round of 32, as well as Odyssey and the other team placed in another bracket. So Jungle Thugs here, a little bit of an upset here, fighting against Mystique and making it to the round of 32. And of course now facing SK here, the huge esports organization, sending 3 teams total into that competition. So very excited to see what is going to happen there. And of course here, Midnight Wolves, not very familiar with that name, but they made it here against the Bloody Scissors, and now they are up against SK Prometheus. We will actually maybe see SK Prometheus later on, and very excited to show off their roster, their changes, talk a little bit about what happened and what we are going to expect together with Rome. So there's pretty cool stuff going on in that bracket. It doesn't get pretty boring at all, and we see the quality of the games rising now in the round of 13. I am going to unpause this game for a second, but unfortunately, oh, Mowgli is moving, so we're gonna throw it back to Action Jackson and Vedius. Take it away, guys.
All right, well, we have seen a lot of damage going down to Lampoka right off the back of that pause. Thank you guys for covering that time. We are going to jump back into this game. Vedius, what's going on with all these early game fights?
These teams love to fight in the early game. Taka, though, is really strong during this point, especially once he gets that X-Retu ability, and you can see how easy it is for him to set up these ganks again up in the lane.
Yeah, but Mowgli's here this time. Polite Company buying a little bit of time. Qualifier actually doing a lot of damage just with those auto attacks, buffed up by the Agent of Wrath. Gotta be careful of Lampoka getting engaged onto again here. Whoa, look at that damage. Kestrel coming in from the sidelines. Safe picking up 2 quick kills off the back of that. Finally breaking this even Steven game that we have been having so far. 4 kills to 3.
Very clutch stuff, but again, you can see this damage coming out from Safe on the Kestrel, landing Glimmer Shot after Glimmer Shot, and this is exactly what I was talking about. When you get a Kestrel in the hands of someone that really knows how to use her, it does so much damage, and it's really impressive to see. It does look like she's going to be going towards that weapon power build, something that is pretty conventional. We did actually see in the VIPL a couple crystal power builds that I thought were absolutely insane, but going to be sticking to more of a conventional weapon power, and it does look like Qualifier going to be providing some more support with that crystal power build. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like an alternating current coming out very early for him. But across the board, in terms of itemization, nothing too strange coming out from either side. But right now, both teams very even in gold. And yeah, it does look like that we're in a bit of a stalemate right now. But as I said, once again, Neoglass looking for another gank in the lane.
This time, though, there was a flare there, so I think Qualifier saw him in stealth coming into the lane. That's the Polite Company bringing Lycott a little bit closer there. Oh, man, Lampoka just trying to get that one last auto attack. Might not have been worth it. Neoglass goes in here. I don't know about that decision. That is going to be another pickup for Safe. Very nice early game coming out of Mediapixel this time around. They're actually going for the turret here, too. And Lycott needs to be careful. They could just turn on to him at any second and go for a bit of an engagement, but looks like the turret is going to fall.
That was really well played from Safe. He noticed that Neoglass tried to go invisible, and he immediately threw those glimmer shots out before Neoglass had an opportunity to set up any kind of flank. He'd realized his mistake once he ate the first 2 glimmer shots, and then he was like, well, there's not much I'm going to be able to do with it at this point in time, so I'm just going to give away my life. But unfortunately, that does mean that they're also going to give away that turret off the back of it, so bit of a misplay coming out from him, and right now it does look like that MediaPixel in a great position to kick off this gold mine.
Yeah, they are going to start it off. Lycott tries to get in there, maybe to interrupt, but can't find the opportunity. And you can see off the back of that, him and Neoglass have to be careful, just juke around here into the bushes. Very nice early game this time around from MediaPixel. Far cry from what we saw last game, but can they maintain this? Neoglass has hit level 6 now. He's got X-Retsu. Got to be careful of him trying to pick up some kills here.
You can see him moving into the enemy jungle. They want to go for a fight.
Oh, jumping right onto Safe, but he is going to speed up away from there. That's a heal and a stealth coming out, too. Now Mowgli, the new target. The ultimate comes out, but Neoglass dodges it. Very nice job there, but he does give up his life for the cause. It's another 1-for-1 trade. Very close to Safe going down, though. You got to give props to Reliable Union for trying.
That was really well played. We talked about how Taka is so good at getting on top of this Kestrel, and they wanted to take advantage of that. But Safe was just able to stay out of combat for long enough to pop that active camo, then with the heal from Qualifier was able to get to a safe range to then really start throwing down those glimmer shots. They end up trading 1-for-1, but I think MediaPixel are going to be pretty happy off the back of that, as Safe now, picking up that Sorrow Blade, really going to be doing some damage.
Yeah, he absolutely is, and he might need to be a little bit careful trying to get back to this fight sooner rather than later, because you can see Reliable Union, as I said before, as soon as this level 6 came through for Taka, they have started positioning a lot more aggressively, and if not all the members of MediaPixel are there, they could find something. So got to make sure they keep up the vision, got to make sure they keep aware of Neoglass and his positioning. Right now, Mowgli fishing around here on the front line. Isn't quite level 6, no Force Accord though.
Oh yeah, as I was just about to mention, that as a glimmer shot's coming out. Can he get that?
One? Oh man! He gets it! Beautiful plays coming out of Safe with the 1 shot, 1 kill. He used more than 1 there, but you know what? Doesn't matter. It's the result that counts. Here comes the X-Retsu, though. Neoglass wants to turn it around, but he goes down. Lampoka extremely low off the back of that, too. Cannot afford to fight into Qualifier and MediaPixel right now. This is a dominant performance so far.
Yeah, you could see what Neoglass was trying to do by combining his damage with that of the wait for it from Lampo. They felt like they could just instantly delete Safe, but it wasn't quite enough. Safe was able to pop a potion, kept him alive for long enough to survive the fight, get the damage down, and delete Neoglass off the map. MediaPixel really stepping things up in this second game with a very dominant performance. Very impressive with how well they are playing around this Kestrel. I mean, I was talking about how excited I was to see it, and this is why.
Whoa,
really cool stuff.
Wow, that was a ton of damage. He just used the boots proc there to get closer. Lampoka really struggling this game.
Unfortunately for Lampoka, he is dealing with what Qualifier had to deal with last game on the Vox. Until you hit those major items, you're really not going to be doing that much damage. And Qualifier on this Adagio, some very impressive stuff. With that alternating current, you can really see the damage that an Adagio can actually put out during these early to mid-game stages.
Neoglass in enemy territory right now, maybe doesn't know that Qualifier is here. 1 shot, 1 kill, not going to connect though, so he should be able to get out of there fairly easily. Neoglass safe for now. See MediaPixel grouping up together, moving into the enemy jungle, trying to set up some kills with the now level 6 Mowgli. Forced Accord is available.
It certainly is, and we saw how impactful Mowgli was with that Forced Accord in the last game, where let's see whether or not he can do that coming into this second. You do have to remember that MediaPixel are currently 0-1 in this series if you have only just joined us, and they are fighting to stay in this tournament. And so far, they're doing a fantastic job with this Kestrel and with this composition that they've decided to change things up with coming into Game 2. Very impressive stuff. Having a quick look through the itemization, you can see Sorrow Blade now picked up for Neoglass, along with that Reflex block. As well as that, you can see Fountain of Renewal done for Lycard, but hang on a second, because they are posturing around, potentially looking for a fight. Here comes Mowgli.
He does speed himself up there. He's looking. You can tell he's trying to fish for that hook. Does actually get it onto Lampoka, arguably the best target. Oh no! Moves forward to get damage down, walks right into the one-shot, one-kill, and just as you'd expect, he goes down. Very bad positioning there from Lampoka. Mowgli, he might even want some more here. Playing very aggressive right now. Qualifier engaged on by Neoglass. Lycod, he gets slowed up by the Quibble. One more auto would do it, but they can't find the range. And Lycod is going to get out of there. Media Pixel, they are terrifying right now.
You have to give credit to Mowgli for that play. What a beautiful force the cord coming out just to catch Lampoka, and once he was brought into the warm embrace of that giant monolith, he suddenly quickly felt the harsh reality of death. Some great stuff coming out from Media Pixel. They now have full control over this gold mine. They were able to pick up a nice payout off the back of that, but right now it does look like Qualifier maybe looking for a bit more of an aggressive play, but not much coming off the back of that. Media Pixel right now trying to set up a siege, as you do actually see Neoglass trying to steal away some of those backs.
Yeah, I don't blame him for doing that right now, to be honest. I don't think he has many other options available to him in terms of being useful. Normally, you want your Taka to be finding picks, but when everyone's grouped up A and B, you're too weak, you can't do that. Force the Cord comes through, though, onto Lycod. That's going to be the Quibble getting the stun down. Lycod barely able to get out of that one with, I believe, a Fountain of Renewal doing some health ticks there and a potion. Media Pixel find themselves a turret off the back of that push, though. They are really commanding this game so far.
They certainly are. That turret push, great advantage game for them. But you can see what Neoglass was trying to do. He took the back minion miner as well, so that the siege wouldn't quite be as strong. Because due to the changes to minions that have happened recently, now if you pick up both minion mines is only when your minions will start to shove, will start to do a lot more damage to the enemy heroes as well as the enemy minions. So he wanted to try and deny the double minion mine, which he obviously did do, but it wasn't quite enough to prevent that turret from being lost. Right now, though, they are able to pick up the minion mine of their own, so minion mines returning back and forth. Breaking point now being picked up for Taka, and this is pretty big. Crucible also completed for Lycod, so maybe this is the point that Reliable Union have been looking for as another fight kicks off.
He's going right in here. The gauntlet goes down on the back line, but no one follows it up. Or do they? They just go down anyway. Oh, what a crazy fight coming in from safe. I didn't even have a time to call out the ability names. Everyone was already dead. Safe. This is the Kestrel that we've talked a lot about. It's been banned a ton. Finally making it through and making it work. Wow. Media Pixel.
Tyrant's Monocle combined with the Sorrow Blade, that is what the damage is like when you're playing against this Kestrel. It is absolutely insane, and it does look like they may be looking for another fight.
Oh, the edge of the Quibble catching the stun onto Lycod. He is still able to back out of there, but Lampo, what are you doing? Walking again into a very bad position, way too far up the lane, and Media Pixel get a kill, even though their initial fight did not pan out that well. Neoglass is going to try and X-rat through some of these minions just to clear them out. The turret's still going to go down. Safes rejoin the fight. Neoglass dodges one glimmer shot, but it's not enough. One shot, one kill does not connect. But look at the damage from Qualifier. Oh, massive force the cord keeps the fight going. And this is bad for Reliable Union. You can see a massive push coming in here from Media Pixel. They've got minions. They might go for more here.
Look, you can see the minion candy has even gone down to help them with this siege setup. It's a 3 versus 1, and I don't know if Lampoka can be the hero that Reliable Union needs, but thankfully with the respawn of Neoglass, Media Pixel learning from the mistakes of last game, and they're not going to overextend, they're not going to give that comeback potential, and they're just going to back off of that one, as the gold miner is going to tick, and they're going to pick up an absolutely massive gold payout off the back of that. Media Pixel in full control of this game. They have remedied all of the mistakes that we saw from game 1, and they are looking like the Seed 1 team that we expected them to be. Fantastic stuff from Media Pixel.
We've got 20 CS leads on both the jungler and the lane carry coming in for Media Pixel. And on top of that, nice levels on them too. 2 level 12s to no level 12s on the side of Reliable Union. Mowgli here looking for another engagement. 3 reflex blocks all popped at the same time. That's the respect you got to give a Finn this stage in the game. one of those forced accords could really wreck you. I believe actually that was one Crucible, not 3 reflex blocks. My bad, guys. But in any case, that was a well-timed one, so props to Lycod for getting that one down. MediaPixel still putting that pressure on at the moment, really making life difficult for the side of Reliable Union.
You can also see the second Tyrant's Monocle picked up for safe, so we thought he was doing a lot of damage before. Well, you should see how much damage he's going to be able to do now. Mowgli, he's been having fantastic forced accords in the first game as well as the second game, so he had to whiff a few. Nobody can be that perfect when it comes to playing this hero, but right now, the Kraken has spawned. They feel they don't need it. They're going to be looking for this game-end push.
They've got the minion candied wave here, but I'm not sure that they want to risk it. It is a little bit bold. There's a good gauntlet. It does get some stuns down. Safe, in fact, is stunned up who? So Negalas gonna try and jump in here. Is it gonna be enough? Safe falls this time, and now Mowgli's in a tough spot. I'm having flashbacks to last game, Vedius. This is not good. Qualifier on the back line does get a kill, though. He's turning around. He gets one more. There's the Quibble stun. It doesn't even matter. That Safe goes down. MediaPixel this time are just too strong. Very nice fight coming out of Qualifier. Very nice kiting, and now they're pushing in here. 7 seconds on Neoglass. They might be able to get this turret.
They need to be careful, though, because if they overextend once again like last game, we could be seeing even more flashbacks, and I don't think I can afford to have you blind coming into this game because it is so tense between these two teams, even though there is a 10,000 gold lead on top of MediaPixel. Neoglass, he's looking for a little bit more action. I don't think he's in range of the X-Retsu yet, but here he comes.
Oh, he does dodge out that one-shot, one-kill. Mowgli might have been able to burst him if that had landed. Mowgli in a very tough spot right now. No way out. Gets a bit of a shield from the Polite Company, but not enough to save his life. We've still got more minion candied waves pushing in right now. MediaPixel really committing to that plan, but with Kraken now spawned, Vox picking up a few items, this might be the opportunity for Reliable Union to pull what they did in last game. We'll have to see if they do.
That would be some incredible stuff coming out from Reliable Union. But it's very smart of them not to risk it. The two major damage dealers are still alive for MediaPixel, but they want to try and take one of them out. Ooh, very dangerous from Lampoka there, trying to go for a bit of a skirmish. You can see now, with the Broken Myth as well as the Alternating Current, he is going to be doing a lot more damage than he has been in the past. And you saw that when they were able to so quickly take Cypher in that last engagement. And now, with that Warhorn picked up, as well as a couple infusions being picked up for the side of Reliable Union, they're going to be looking for those fights. But an immediate push is coming out from MediaPixel. They want to try and end the game.
They actually just popped a Warhorn there. They are really committing to this, blowing all their speed buffs to get into the base, but there's the recall coming out of all three members. Gauntlet goes down. Safe is on the outside of it this time. Qualifier, the main target for Neoglass. I'm not sure that's who you want to be focusing. Safe on the back line is doing a lot of damage, staying relatively healthy for now. Gonna use that on-point ability to try and stay safe. Sorry, the active camo. Now the Vein Crystal being focused out here. They're trying to go for it, but the Crystal falls. MediaPixel even out the series. What a game!
Really fantastic stuff from MediaPixel. It was looking a little bit dicey when they were trying to go for those end-game shoves, but they were finally able to close this one out with some fantastic play coming out from Mowgli. But some massive credit once again deserved to Qualifier and Safe as well. Safe not typically on the main lineup, but he has done some major work on this Kestrel, and Qualifier providing so much support and so much damage from the backline. Some really impressive stuff, and this is the Seed 1 that we were expecting.
It absolutely is. Guys, we're going to pass to Rome for some more breakdown of that game.
Wow, MediaPixel played this game out really well. Like, they went with that strategic incoming where they're thinking, okay, we're going to have pretty much one really strong roamer, but overall we're going to have two supporting heroes for our Kestrel, and that's exactly what they did. They positioned themselves really well with Adagio being able to use his abilities to, just in case he had to kite away from Taka, but he would buff up the Kestrel, he would buff himself up, or sometimes he would throw it onto Mowgli, who dished out so much damage using his Quivel and his Force Accords. What they did really well this game is their positioning was very smart. Like, they knew how to play out this composition, and because the other team is not able to like predict ahead of time what kind of strategies these guys do have up their sleeves. They weren't as prepared as they were last game. Although, like, I really appreciated the Vox and Arden picks. I think because the other team for sure was going to have like very tanky buffs across the board, especially with having Finn, Taka might not have been the best choice because in the early game they cannot put that aggression on to Kestrel, and they need something that's very aggressive starting from level 1. And that's where it kind of turned the tides. Like, their CS was probably 40 apart, like, for most of the game, and that actually made a difference transitioning into the late game.
Alright, thanks a lot for the insight here. And the third match is, of course, what everyone is waiting for here. It could be a huge upset asset, but we see actually MediaPixel here perform as we used to see them. Strong comp here, that Adagio. Totally agree here with Rome that Taka maybe not the right choice against that kind of setup, but we will see. Third match, ladies and gentlemen, that is without any restriction, no ban, no draft. And yeah, I think this is a great thing. It's super exciting. And we will see. I will ask the teams if they are ready now. And if they are ready, we can jump right into that match. So let's just wait and hold on a second. While we do so, my question would be here to Rome. What do you think, MediaPixel? Are they going now to stick to that comp? Do you think they feel comfortable with that? And if so, would you put Reliable Union to expect them to stay on that comp or rather change? And how would they adapt to that?
Look at how MediaPixel's been playing. Like, from their drafting phase, they're going to be looking at the other heroes. And so Reliable Union ran a Ringo first game, they ran a Vox second game. So if I were MediaPixel, I would probably put a Ringo in lane on my end, just so that I have that ease of like pressure, knowing that they're possibly going to pick one of the two, and I'm either even with them or I have an advantage with them. And in the jungle is Mowgli is probably will play a Finn again. He's been known to play an excellent Finn, but he does play other heroes very well. And this is going to be the question: is what kind of compositions are they going to build up in the jungle? They have such a big hero pool where even if I were them right now, I would put something very strong. Let's say if I do have a Ringo in lane or a Vox in lane, I would probably put a Koshka in the jungle along with a Fortress or a Koshka with an Arden. Something very aggressive in the early game where they're pretty much have a composition where they can set the pace of the game instead of having to play very passively, waiting for the right decisions, to capitalize on mistakes. They can go all up from the beginning.
All right, so interesting to see here what's going on. Teams are requesting 2 minutes to quickly get some drinks and maybe just have a talk to each other about the strategy of that super important match here. Of course, we say 2 minutes is fine for us, and while we give them the 2 minutes, let's have a look at the Catherine bracket. And while we look at that, we can say that Fame Glory is here with us, partnered up, and we have all the statistics in the app. We are busy updating them from minute to minute about the round of 64 and about the round of 32. So you can see all the kind of stuff there. Actually, the brackets, top 10 kills, top 10 assists, all that kind of stuff. And I think it's pretty interesting for the Vainglory League and for the qualifier for the competition to just have a look at that and just compare. And yeah, it's everything you can do, and you can check out the teams. You can do some analysis when you're going to face them next time in the amateur series or in other rounds like the top 64 qualifier. So we are updating and upgrading this from time to time. And while we look at the Catherine region, I think we can have a look at another region, by the way, because we already went over Rhyme. So the Rhyme region is also super interesting here. We do see here the latest results. G2 Kinguin 2 is going to go against Windfall. What a match from Windfall yesterday versus the European Vertigo team here, Vertigo Onyx. And we do see Sky Chimera in that bracket against Roses of Death. That will be interesting as well. I know the Roses of Death, pretty young roster, a lot of talent in there. And in the match below, the Pina Coladas, they are waiting actually for their matchup here. Rebel Tiger against Ozo's comeback. Yeah, there is some rescheduling going on at the moment. Kraken New Way and Kraken succeeding Divide et Impera versus Kraken. So Rome, what are your thoughts looking at here the remaining teams, and what do you think, who will come out on top of the Rhine bracket?
A lot of teams actually stand out in this one, but I'd like to take this chance to like dig a little bit deeper into SK Chimera. They have a team where we saw MYQ at the EU live championships, but this is the thing that comes to the question: is the rest of their roster, or most of their roster, was playing off in the VIPL in Korea. So this is another team just like Gangstar Sirius, where you have Medic and Ilohak,
Yeah.
where these guys have been practicing like 6 to 8 hours every day. They've been working on hero pools. They've been working on effective strategies, and you're coming in with such experience coming out of Rocco S and Red Wolf, who dominates the lane. You have a very composed team here, and I expect a lot of things to come up from this team during out of this bracket, especially.
Alright, and while we jump into the match, I would actually like to continue with Rome very quickly here with the matchup, what we see and who we see. So we see quickly for you Mediapixel, there is Adagio, Castrol again together with Arden this time, and on the side here from the underdog reunion, it is Arden, Ringo and Koshka. So once again they feel comfortable picking that Koshka together with Ringo. What do you think here about this composition, and who do you think will come out on top here of this best of 3 matchup?
I'm gonna have to go on a limb here and put my favorite on the underdog in Reliable Union. I especially like how they played their first game, like how they executed that composition and how they dominated the jungle. And because they swapped back, they have a Ringo in lane now. I feel that he's gonna have an easier time in the early and mid game. And throughout the entire composition, I do kind of expect them to snowball in the first 8 minutes, and then because the other team is very dependent on one hero, and you have a Koshka that has the lockdown, and then you have Ringo that can probably build up stacks because he outranges their entire team. I put the favor on the side of Reliable Union this game.
Alright, thanks a lot, and we will see if Reliable Union can make it. And yeah, our casters, Vedius and Action Jackson, take it over with that match.
All right, guys, we're on the fold for this final game of the best of 3, and already, Lycod, I didn't get a chance to do an intro because he did an outro right off the fold and onto the respawn platform. Very quick first blood coming in from Media Pixel, but now Qualifier up in the lane is going to be engaged onto Lampo, putting down some good damage here with Negalas on that Koshka. Safe comes in. They want to turn it around. This fight just keeps on going. But Safe can't find that last glimmer shot. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. Vedius, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great, as we've just come off the immediate amount of action, which is pretty impressive stuff. You can already see, once again, this fantastic early game power that is Scythe on this Kestrel, but the same goes for Neoglass on this Koshka. Very easily able to pick up a kill onto Adagio, but First Blood did end up going over to Media Pixel, so you can already see both teams thirsty as Qualifier ends up getting another solo kill. Fantastic stuff from him. It looks like you just heard Rome talking about how he should have an easier time in lane by playing this hero, but Valafar disagrees.
He does, but then again, so does Neoglass. He's coming right back up here. The action literally does not stop in this final game. Both the teams sitting on 6.1k gold, 2 kills apiece. It is dead even right now. Man, I tell you, something I'm going to be taking into my solo queue games is playing Adagio in lane, getting boots, running up, slowing someone, killing them. Neoglass right now needs to be booking it out of here, though. Lycod going to be the new target. They can't quite chase in here. Mowgli and Safe unable to find that kill. Man, so much action.
Yeah, and I can't imagine that the action is going to stop. You heard from Rome that he very much believes the early game composition from Union.
Neoglass caught out here. I think Safe may have actually picked up both of those jungle minions off the back of a Glimmer Shot too, so a huge pickup for the side of MediaPixel, finally pulling themselves slightly ahead, but only by about 200 gold.
And it's this thing about Kestrel. People don't quite realize how strong she is in the early game. When you look at Akoshka, you think, there's no way anyone is going to be able to outduel Akoshka. And then you realize, wait, Kestrel can, because she has 4 Glimmer Shots right off the get-go. She can do so much damage if you don't respect it. And speaking of damage, have a look up in the lane.
Yeah, Neoglass this time didn't have the backup that he had previously, though. Qualifier is able to walk out of there. And as soon as ganks start failing with a Koshka pick, you know, that does indicate something going wrong a little bit. You got to make sure, if you're going to spend the time going to lane, that you have someone backing you up.
Have a look at Safe now. He's just hit that level 6 point, the highest level in the game. And you can see 34 farm to the 27 of Neoglass, as well as the 42 on Qualifier to the 38 of Lampoka. So small advantages being gained for MediaPixel so far. They do hold the kill lead as well as the gold lead, but it looks like they may be going for another fight.
Oh man, that damage coming out of Safe. Lycod has to book it out of there. 1 shot, 1 kill, not going to connect, but with the poke that we just saw out of MediaPixel, they are in a good position to siege onto this turret, maybe even go for some more kills here. Safe really just zoning the members of Reliable Union off of that turret.
Really nice poke coming out from Safe, doing a fantastic job of using this early game damage that he has available to him on this Kestrel, and here it comes again. You can just see him constantly landing Glimmer Shot after Glimmer Shot, and he's just doing it. This guy is so good at Kestrel, very impressive stuff, and I imagine when it's not banned, we're going to be seeing more and more of it as the Vainglory League progresses.
Mowgli is trying to see more and more of Lycod right now, running right in on top, but his team unfortunately can't close that gap. That's one of the reasons why you might want to get something like a Warhorn to get them in position to help out, or to use it to disengage when Neoglass jumps on your face. Hopefully we'll see that item picked up at some point. Gold mine started. Yeah, this is a little bit risky with all 3 members of Reliable Union nearby, but they do secure it for MediaPixel. Now Koshka coming in, jumps onto Mowgli, doing a lot of damage, but Qualifier is going to find that return kill. Safe does not connect with the 1 shot, 1 kill. Can't get any more off the back of it, but he's thrown out those Glimmer Shots, looking to maybe jump onto Lampoka. He is going to build some distance between them, and I believe that Reliable Union should be safe here.
So a bit of weak target focus coming out from MediaPixel right there. They definitely have the opportunity, but I imagine Neoglass is going to get out of this one. With the support from Lycod, you had that Vanguard shield, and I didn't feel as though Scythe was quite in range to finally land that Glimmer Shot, so looks like my predictions were correct, and he is going to be able to escape from that one. But MediaPixel able to pick themselves up a gold miner, but Qualifier,
he is in a tough spot right now. Lampoka does do a lot of damage, but thankfully Mowgli had his back with the Vanguard. Very nice job there. It's interesting that you can have someone's back with a Vanguard when Vanguard is literally the front unit of your troop. But there you go. Vainglory challenging expectations.
Yeah, exactly. They do like to do that. I love their ability names. You know, they do have ones. My favorite is obviously Koshka, which we will be bringing our attention to as the game progresses, with a bit of Twirly Death along with some Yummy Catnip Frenzy. Gonna have to keep an eye out on that. Speaking of Koshka,
oh, and the Yummy Catnip Frenzy does get used, but this time Qualifier has picked himself up a reflex block and does have the reflexes to use it quite well, so he's going to be able to get away. Reliable Union have struggled a little bit in the last few minutes to set up plays with their aggressive jungler here.
So MediaPixel, you know, these guys... Oh, hang on, Qualifier!
He is very low, but the gauntlet doesn't actually land the stun onto him. Safe is in the middle of this fight, putting down a lot of Glimmer Shots. He's going to go for that 1 shot, 1 kill, lands it onto Lycod, but it doesn't do that much damage. Lycod is able to back on out of there. Lots of close fights, but nothing really coming to the last few.
Yeah, a lot of skirmishes between the two teams, very back and forth, and it's just a very tense game. This is the 3rd game of this best-of-3 series, and as we know, the winner moves on to the round of 16, which will be happening next week, and the loser will be out of the winter season. So, little bit tense between the two teams. Neither one really wants to get knocked out, but I don't think either of us really expected MediaPixel to be struggling this much.
No, definitely not. I mean, coming in off the back of the Autumn Championships, taking that first place spot, even though they were very lowly seeded in the tournament, was impressive performance. Obviously, Safe is not their regular jungler here, but right now the Hellfire Brew coming out. That's going to be a Yummy Catnip Frenzy, which does get reflex blocked, but the Gauntlet keeps him in. Very nice fight for Reliable Union. They're also going to get Qualifier. Mowgli falling quite low, too. He tries to jump back in there. Not sure that's what you want to be doing. He's going to go back under his turret. Good opportunity to siege coming in for Reliable Union.
This is the difference between having infusions and not having infusions. Lampo did so much damage. Even with a fantastic reflex block that came out from Safe, it just wasn't enough because the power spikes that have been picked up by Neoglass, by Lampo, meant that they just shredded through Safe and he dropped immediately. And with him out of the fight, that set them up perfectly to take the turret. He tries to get the snipe onto the gold miner, but isn't quite going to get it, and that means Reliable Union. They're going to pick themselves up 225 gold and a lot more control over the map.
Did the gold mine belong to Media Pixel before that? I think it might have.
Yeah,
I was completely not on the ball there. My bad, guys. In any case, you got to hear me squeal like a little girl. Now Qualifier fighting 1v1 against Lampo in the top lane. This is a close 1v1. They saved the reflex blocks for the last moment. I should have saved my reach for that moment because, man, really well played by both of them. But Qualifier coming out ahead. That is going to give the numbers advantage to Media Pixel right now as they push onto this tier 1 turret.
They are putting a lot of poke down. They're trying to set up a siege, but notice how the respawns have already come in. I don't know if they can take the turret before Lampo gets back into the fight, but they're going to go for it anyway.
Yeah, they are. Lots of damage coming out from Qualifier and Safe trying to pick up this kill onto Lycod, but with the reflex block and the Vanguard, he is able to endure most of that. Now Qualifier quite low, needs to be careful about continuing on with the fight. Lampo has rejoined. The Gauntlet is going to land the stun, though. Look at the Glimmer Shot. That was about 50% of Lampo's health taken off there. Thankfully, Vanguard did have his back yet again. But with the recall coming out of Koshka, they're going to try and get this turret yet again. They're going to try and go for the siege. Safe putting down a lot of pressure here.
They need to be careful, though, because Safe is getting pretty low on energy. But you can see what happens once you pick up that Sorrow Blade. Your Glimmer Shots are doing so much work. Being level 10 now, one of the highest levels in the game, Safe is just doing a huge amount of damage to the opposing team. The active camo is going to keep them alive, but not for long.
And he actually didn't get the reflex block off there either, so Yummy Catnip Frenzy going to pick up the kill. Very bad positioning there coming out from Safe. Not good vision control at all from the side of Media Pixel. This game is extremely back and forth, Vedius.
You have to give credit to Reliable Union, though. They pushed up the lane, and they knew that Qualifier had to deal with all of those creeps coming up to his turret. He had to clear those away. So no matter what happened, Reliable Union would always have the numbers advantage moving into the enemy jungle, because otherwise, Qualifier was just going to lose all that farm. And it was very smart play from them. They ended up catching Safe all by himself in his own jungle, and they were able to pick up a lot of backs as well as the minion miner off the back of that. Very smart play coming out from Reliable Union. Really utilizing some good minion wave management. Very impressive stuff.
I have to agree with you. Right now at 12 minutes, let's just take stock of what's going on because there's been so much action in this game. It might be hard to keep track. We've got 23,000 gold on the side of Reliable Union to the 19.7 of Media Pixel. Goldmine currently in control and quite full of Reliable Union as well. So they're in a good spot here, but you would expect that with the Ringo-Koshka combination. As we move later on to the game, you know, it's going to be interesting to see who can come out ahead here. We've also got the one turret killed on the side of Reliable Union. They've been taking objectives very smartly throughout this game. Can they continue to do it, though?
Yeah, that is really the big question coming into this. You can see both teams really just posturing around, but have a look at Neoglass. 5-1-1, 89 farm on this Koshka. Level 12 now, having the Aftershock completed as well as the Aegis. Going to be working towards, I imagine, a Broken Myth, and then likely something like the Atlas Pauldron, go for a few more defensive itemizations, but have a look at what Reliable Union are doing right now. They realize that the payout is about to come out. They want to have control over it. Neither team actually has control over a minion candy, so Reliable Union just posturing. They don't want to even allow Media Pixel to get anywhere near that, and they want to secure themselves a nice A nice, healthy amount of gold. But the biggest thing you have to remember is this comeback mechanic. We saw it come out from Reliable Union in Game 1, and there's no reason why MediaPixel can't take advantage of that themselves. One successful fight going in their favor could suddenly close that gold gap and swing the game back into their momentum.
Yep, I have to agree with you. I mean, MediaPixel, they've still got plenty of ways to close this gold gap and win the game. It is incredibly close, definitely the closest we have seen so far, but with another immense payout collected, you can see Reliable Union are kind of building this advantage slowly over time. If they can continue to do this, they might just be able to run away with things. The onus is very much on MediaPixel right now to defend their position here. Obviously, we mentioned it earlier, coming in the first seed of the entire VGL qualifier this time around, off the back of Autumn. You know, they are in a good spot to really impress and continue on with the momentum from that if they can just take this win and stay in the tournament. Whether they can do it or not, though, it's going to be tough to tell because Reliable Union have come in strong this series.
They certainly have, and that's what I wanted to bring our attention to, because when you think about Seed 1 versus Seed 9 in this Catherine group, you'd imagine that it should be a pretty one-sided game, but it really emphasizes the talent that we have coming into this Vainglory League winter tournament. It is really impressive stuff how well the teams have adapted and developed over the course of such a short period of time, and having this Reliable Union squad put up such a strong fight against the Seed 1 team is some really impressive stuff. So regardless of whoever wins, I'm looking forward to how both these teams progress throughout the future, because both of them really have impressed me in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, there is tons more Vainglory to come. This is firstly only one of the qualifiers for the season, but there's also a season every season. It's absolutely awesome. I'm sure both of these guys have a future, and the players at the very least do, playing really, really well so far. You know, talking about the seeds, one thing I wanted to mention too that really emphasizes how impressed I am with Reliable Union is that, yes, there's Seed 9 in this bracket, but there's lots of different brackets. Hang on, we'll get to that in a second, though. Hellfire Brew is going to fly out here safe, is just sitting there tanking the damage, but putting a lot out himself. Neoglass and Lampoka both still alive, though. Can Qualifier stay in it? He goes down. Now it's Mowgli versus Neoglass. The gauntlet is down, but there's no way Neoglass needs to run through that one. The Vanguard comes out, but it's not enough. Neoglass, the last man standing across both teams, is going to pick up that final kill, get the ace, and go for this push.
What a clutch fight. I feel as though Mowgli held onto his gauntlet for just a little bit too long, but Safe got deleted right at the start of that fight. You could see these infusions trying to be picked up as quickly as possible at the beginning of this fight, but I feel as though that put Safe in a bit of a compromising position. It was so easy to shut him down right at the get-go, and he did not get the opportunity to really throw that damage out. Right now, Reliable Union have kicked off the Kraken. The rest of Neoglass's team have joined him, and it looks like they're going to be able to pick this one up for free.
Yeah, I mean, they really did quite a good job there, having good enough vision to guarantee that MediaPixel weren't going to come and contest that. Right now, MediaPixel have their back against the wall. It is down to the wire, and they are in a very tough spot. Those are all ways of saying they need to defend this push, or they are really probably going to lose the game.
But we've seen this before. It's almost like when MediaPixel were able to get the Kraken around this time in the game, they look for a game-ending push, then all of a sudden one team fight, as a result of overextending, turns the game back around. You know about the shutdown mechanic and how easy it is to close that gold gap. This could be it. Regardless, this is going to be game-changing no matter what happens in this next engagement.
Here comes the Hellfire Blue. The Crucible is going to block a lot of that damage across all three members of MediaPixel, but the Kraken is just lumbering forward. The Behemoth going for these turrets. Here comes the Verse of Judgment, is going to silence up Negalas, I believe, hopefully buy some time for MediaPixel. They're going to get the kill onto the Kraken. The Gauntlet doing a great job of zoning the Reliable Union off of the remaining turret, but with only one more standing, MediaPixel really need to make something happen in the next few minutes.
Well, they're able to defend at least the game-ending push, so they still have some time left to work their way back into the game. You can see they are able to get 500 gold each off the back of killing the Kraken, so now that allows the Broken Myth to be completed for Qualifier. You can see as well a few items being picked up for both sides, really. A lot of damage available for either team, and it really is getting a little bit scary. But overall, it's super, super tense. You can see the metal jacket actually being picked up for Neoglass, trying to deal with that weapon power Kestrel coming out. The Aftershock picked up very early on, has been doing a lot of work. You can also see Lycott on this Arden himself has picked up an Aftershock, so he wants to be doing a bit of damage as well. Meanwhile, we can see the Warhorn along with the Fountain of Renewal and the Crucible all coming out from Mowgli, so going much more for a utility-focused itemization. So this game, very, very tense, very, very close, and with all of these infusions being picked up, that suggests to me that both teams really looking for one big fight to determine the outcome of this game. But have a look at the turrets on the map. There's still a lot available for the side of Reliable Union.
Yeah, there definitely are, and I have to say, I feel like it's a big issue that Safe, this is the thing I want to pinpoint, Safe just has not been able to kite in these fights. Even with the Crucible coming out of Mowgli, even with his own reflex block, he just hasn't been able to find the good positioning, and I think that's really hurting Media Pixel right now. They need to figure out a way of positioning better. Maybe that's engaging a fight themselves and trying to get a pick onto someone with the burst of Glimmer Shot. Maybe that's just waiting until they push again onto your base. We're going to have to see. Mowgli seems to think it's option one, running straight in here. The Gauntlet goes down from the side of Reliable Union. Neoglass falls immediately, though. Lampoka, he's not in range to do any auto-attacking. The Gauntlet gets the stun. There's the one-shot, one-kill. Media Pixel, they find the fight that they need.
That was fantastic from Media Pixel. You have to give so much credit for Safe. He just ran in alongside Mowgli, but then the moment the fight was about to start, he popped his active camo, retreated to get a better position, and then it was Glimmer Shot after Glimmer Shot that pretty much deleted the lineup of Reliable Union. That was such a well-executed fight. It's now 3 members to 1. They're going to try and close out this game and move on to the round of 16.
Wow, I cannot believe that Media Pixel have pulled this one back so heavily off one fight, and they engaged it when I would have normally assumed they're the team that needs to play so defensively. Neoglass, he's trying to come in here for one last-ditch effort, not going to be able to pull it off, though, and the Vainglory Autumn Champions are not out of this. They do move forward to the round of 16. Reliable Union, they put up a great fight, but they are going to be knocked out.
And that really was a fantastic game. Some super impressive stuff, some super impressive itemization build, and I cannot wait to see either of the teams as they progress through the rest of this tournament.
All right, well, to break down this last game, we are going to bring Rome onto the desk real quick to talk about it. Take it away.
Props off to Reliable Union, like this entire series. I was very impressed from both all the first, second, and third games, how they picked up their team compositions, how they strategized their draft picks, their bans. They're all very strategic. Like they took into consideration that the other team likes to play heroes like Vox, like Finn, and they built around that. And coming to this last game, they had awesome chances to actually close it out and finish the game, but it was those small mistakes that Media Pixel capitalized on, and they came out with the win. We should take this time to look at something that we're going to see a lot through this tournament is the discussion about Kestrel and why people are banning her, why people are trying to first pick her, because what she's really good at is she's very strong against the current meta. A lot of people have compositions based around picking Arden first, and when you're seeing what's available, if Kestrel is available on the other team, you have to be able to come into this mindset where we need to counter ahead of time. Picking up heroes like Catherine is probably the best counter towards a Kestrel. Walk in with that bubble, being able to stun her, because what she lacks is that mobility. And other heroes would be Sky, especially with being able to repositioning after she uses about 3 Glimmer Shots. And also another awesome one that doesn't really stand out to people yet is the use of Koshka. And because we saw this game how Koshka got deleted many times in the early game and didn't have that much pressure, if you play Koshka right and if you know how to time out the abilities, if you're jumping after the third second the Glimmer Shot comes out, you have such that mobility in terms where you can engage really close, you have a gap closer, and you deal so much damage. So Kestrel, to be honest, I wouldn't always first ban Kestrel. Instead, I would prioritize first banning other heroes like Arden and first picking Catherine. which leaves me a lot more room to build a composition around. But excellent gameplay by both sides, and of course, seed number 1, we're going to look forward to them and how well they do down this tournament. We're seeing the skill caps get a lot closer, and seed 1 and 9 almost got upsetted. So we can expect a lot of games coming on as this tournament progresses.
Alright, thanks a lot, Rome, for this nice analysis here. What a matchup, ladies and gentlemen. This is just the round of 32. So, talent here across the board in all 4 brackets. We have, once again, the Catherine region, the Rhyme region, then we have the Adagio and the Ringo region. So a lot of stuff going on here. We split the 64 bracket down into 4 brackets with 16 teams each. So if you're wondering, well, where are all the other teams? Yes, they are in the other brackets. So we are having a look at the bracket, and I see that Dungeon has an update.
I will talk for just a brief second. Yeah, we do have the next matchup, and that is going to be SK Prometheus against Midnight Wolves.
Yes.
And for Prometheus, I have, if I'm not totally thrown in front of the bus right now, I believe that is containing the highest ELO player of Europe in the autumn season.
Yep, I think that is pretty much right. So we will have great talent in the next match as well. And first of all, of course, congratulations to Mediapixel for reaching the round of 16, which should be normally, from the statistics and the feeling here, an obvious thing, but turned out to be a hard task. So props to the underdog.
Yeah, I want to ask Rome, obviously, about Leon. That's the guy we were talking about. Did you ever have the pleasure of seeing him playing, or did you ever play with him since you were scouting all over Europe to do this wonderful analyst job you are doing so far already?
So I often play on Europe from time to time, especially a lot in these last 2 months. And the thing about with Europe and why I have so much fun with it is because I do play with Leon and Jetpacks quite often. Playing with these guys, it makes me enjoy the game even more to a different level, where we can run into rank queue, play any comp that we just feel like playing, and execute it out so well. The mechanical skills that come out across the board with this team, coming out of Wrath29, Leon, Jetpacks, and Techno JJ, is top notch. So I have very high expectations for them. You have Leon, who's excellent in the jungle and in the lane. He can play pretty much any hero he wants and build that hero in any way that he wants. That's how good he is. You have Jetpacks, who's extremely efficient in terms of a player. He knows when to be able to be passive, aggressive, and he makes those very smart decisions that evidently show out the outcome later on in the game. Wrath29, who has all this knowledge and experience, I'm pretty sure he's the one that's sitting back. He's making sure that their drafts work out. He's calling out those plays that okay, this is what we're going to have to do against this certain comp. We're going to have to play a bit passive, or how we're going to play aggressively, when we're going to jump in. And Techno JJ just rounds out the entire team, and it do so well like this.
Okay, thanks a lot. We're getting ready for the party, and while we do so, we have another announcement here to make, and let's have a look at that trailer.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Alright, that is Band, ladies and gentlemen, and so the question you're facing is, okay, Band, chat apps, so what are we going to do with this? They have a pretty cool program at the moment going on, so you can apply, you can sign up with your team, with your Vainglory League team, and then use the app and get the chance, to get sponsored jerseys. And you might know the nice jerseys from Team Vertigo, you know, with the band logo, stuff like that. So pretty cool stuff if you are attending live events, you know, meetups, or going to all the way to the live championships. So we will give a little bit more info within the next couple of rounds here about this stuff for you, and that's, I think, a pretty cool stuff, how they are going to support here the Vainglory esports scene and the competitive play. So great stuff. Big shout out here to Band. And let's actually come back to our matchup. It is SK, and they are facing Midnight Wolves. So Midnight Wolves is actually some team I have honestly, I think, never heard of.
Nope.
Dungeon are also
I'm
shaking his
head. I don't know. I never heard of him.
If Rome has the roster open right now, I'm asking you because obviously if you're in Canada, I don't know. Is there any kind of name you are familiar with? Because they are seed 7. It doesn't sound too bad in a 1-16 bracket. So what are you actually expecting to see against that top team SK?
Coming in at seed 7, so just looking at that seed, we can expect that this team has reached a level of degree in terms of how well they've done Elo-wise across the board. And I do notice Look Me Up I've seen him in Ranku a couple of times. Same with Sasaki Heisey. So
okay.
I can expect that these guys do have a lot of experience coming in. They probably have a bunch of like data and feedback from playing top tier teams already. How they come into this prepared is going to be detrimental to how well their outcome will be. To be honest, like this team of SK Prometheus is probably one of my top 3 teams to win the entire tournament, and they're going to have to execute out where if we can't play them one-on-one mechanically, we're going to have to make better decisions than them. We're going to have to be able to outdraft them, and we're going to have to be able to make those itemizations that are more like focused on certain later points in the game as to like in the moment and what we need to build now.
All right. So let's take a look at the bracket they are playing in once again, and then see the potential matchups in the future. And just for your information, ladies and gentlemen, the next VGL, it is next week, Saturday and Sunday again. And we are looking at SK Odyssey and Jungle Thugs. So this is the potential bottom matchup here of the Catherine bracket. So it is possible from SK to actually face their sister team SK Odyssey. So Prometheus versus Odyssey. That sounds like a top match for next week's Saturday. How likely is that, Rome, that they are facing each other in the next round?
Very likely.
So there comes the honest statement, very likely. So we will actually see how this is going to develop. So let me see, we are going here to go back again, just waiting here for the party to set it up, and then I think we're pretty much good to go to enter the long-awaited bans and drafts. Let's go. There we go, Midnight Wolves versus SK Prometheus, the match we were talking about, and we are executing here the bans and the draft. So we are waiting for Midnight Wolves' first ban against SK. I do see names like Leon, Japax, and the young German talent Raf29. How likely is it that we see a personal cool ban against Jetpacks, Rome?
Wait, can you repeat that roster one more time? It kind of slipped my mind.
Jetpacks. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Jetpacks. I did ask, how likely is it that we will see actually a personal ban against the Jetpacks, which could be the mostly or the famous cool ban if you face Jetpacks?
With all the other heroes out right now, and if I were to give them Jetpacks on Kroll, I actually wouldn't mind that, because I know I have that early window where I could put out a lot of aggression, even though he's a great Kroll, and even though I can gamble a lot and probably lose the end game, with the early game, this is like a very big risk. And then coming in against the second seed, I know I have to take certain risks like this. So I'll probably leave his Crow alone and try and prioritize a ban that gives me a more dominant jungle phase early game.
All right, thanks a lot. And we do see here the first ban coming in from Midnight Wolves. It is Adagio. What do you think about that? I mean, we've just seen the super strong lane Adagio. Interesting, isn't it?
Actually, playing with these guys a lot, I've ran a bunch of different compositions with them. They do run the saw push comp a lot, and with other compositions, they actually do use Adagio as a secondary support. So, and this is like actually kind of focused towards jetpacks because he plays the Adagio so well in the jungle, and SK is very well known for running one carry and two roamers. So thinking about it wisely, they did look through a bunch of data, they looked through a bunch of VODs, and they have some analysis where this is actually a very good ban against them.
Alright, and we do see here SK Prometheus with the ban. It is no one else than Sky, and instantly Midnight Wolves, they are going to call their first pick. What should it be, Kestrel?
So yeah, we've seen this being quite repetitive so far, and trying to be able to secure that first pick Kestrel or banning Kestrel if you're the second person that's picking. And we already know how strong Kestrel is early game, but how much knowledge coming to this does SK have? Like what I mentioned earlier about possible Kestrel counter picks, especially revolving around Catherine. But with the Sky already out there, not left with much other than Catherine and Koshka. So they need to pick very wisely, or they need to be able to play very passively early, and hope that by not making any mistakes, they're even enough gold where when they mid game, late game hits, they're able to jump in and delete the Kestrel as like total.
Alright, and the picks from SK Prometheus here, Koshka and Arden are coming in. That is their start for the roster. Let's see here. Let's lock in Koshka and Arden. On the other hand side, we do see some interesting stuff going on. Look me up here representing the Wolves. He is calling out Black Feather and Catherine next to that Kestrel. So last but not least, Jetpack's calling out a Vox. So again, the compilation Midnight Wolves, Kestrel, Blackfeather, Catherine against SK's Vox, Arden, and Koshka. Just by looking at the heroes, Rom, what do you think?
Both teams actually have very strong hero compositions throughout. If we're going to look at Midnight Wolves first, they have a very strong jungler in terms of Kestrel and Catherine, with Catherine having that stun, being able to set up Kestrel's glimmer shots, making it very easy for her to be able to hit her skill shots and do that amount of damage. While Blackfeather is going to be sitting in a lane, he's just going to be trying to farm as much as he can. With his jungle putting out so much pressure, he does have an easier time. And on SK's side this is something that we do see a lot in EA, we do see a lot in EU, but not so much in NA, where you're either building up compositions based on a lot of crystal damage, and this is an option that they do have here. They could run Vox, either crystal or weapon, but most likely they are going to run him as a crystal carry. And it does work out, especially with the use of Broken Myth in their item builds, and no matter how much the other team builds up in terms of shield, and this Broken Myth is one item, and the other team has to go double defensive items, tee up an extra slot, meaning that they're going to have one less damage carry item later on in the game.
All right, thanks a lot. We don't go anywhere for no break, just the smooth transition, and then no one else. And Action Jackson Vedias are going to take it away, guys. Let's go. Game 1, Midnight Wolves versus SK Prometheus.
The battle for the Halcyon Fold has begun.
All right, we are jumping onto the fold for the second series of the night, guys. It is going to be a good one, obviously. SK, a very well-known organization. On the flip side, Midnight Wolves trying to come in here and cause a bit of an upset. My name's Action Jackson. Joining me, as per usual, is Vedius. How are you doing, man?
I am doing fantastic. Very happy to be here for this next game. Finally get to watch some SK play. We did see the organization as a whole recently return from VIPL, and this is one of their sister teams, so I'm looking forward to seeing how well they do. And once again, we're seeing Kestrel, so very excited to see how things work out after a pretty dominant performance from Media Pixel in our first series of the day.
Yeah, I have to agree with that one. Luke Me Up going to be trying to pull off a similar performance to Safe, who previously played it. They've also got the Black Feather on their team composition, which is something we saw do a lot of work in the games yesterday in Europe. So certainly a lot of powerful picks coming across for both of these teams. Going to be interesting if they can leverage them appropriately.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this quite a lot because we know how well Vox scales up, and we also know how well a Black Feather scales up once they get these major item spikes and once they get to that certain point within the game. As well as that, you've also got the super early game Koshka as well as the super early game Kestrel. So we should be seeing a lot of aggression throughout the game depending on how these teams prefer to play. So really looking forward, and actually we're seeing what looks to me like a Crystal Power Kestrel, so I'm getting pretty excited to this. The last time I saw it was in the VIPL, and the amount of poke that it put out was absolutely insane. So keep an eye out on these Glimmer Shots and how much damage they're going to be doing. It did receive a bit of a nerf, but hang on, look in the top lane.
Yeah, Mercilles is actually going to get stunned up a little bit there, but Leon is in a tough spot. Oh, the Glimmer Shot from downtown. Luke Me Up. Looking him up, picking up the kill. Very nice plays coming out there. Like you were saying, Crystal Power is going to be awesome to watch. This is my preferred build path when I'm just playing it. Very exciting stuff early on in the game. First Blood going over to Midnight Wolves.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. I just think that the amount of poke that it does is absolutely insane. As I was saying, it did receive some changes in the most recent patch, so the Crystal Power scaling is lower, but it still can pack quite a hefty punch that you have to respect. Right now, though, bit of an exchange going up in the lane, and it's actually Leon that's coming out ahead, so pretty good stuff coming out for the side of SK, but obviously they are one kill down, still maintaining a gold lead, though.
Yeah, until Mercilles gets a few more items and maybe a few more levels, I think he's going to struggle to deal with the poke coming out of Leon unless ganks keep coming through, which so far they have been. Luke Me Up missing that second Glimmer Shot is not going to be able to keep the pressure up onto Leon, though. He is going to escape back to his turret, back to the safety of Raf 29. See, Luke Me Up is sticking around, though, waiting for maybe someone to engage onto Mercilles. Speaking of which, Raf going into the enemy bush here is a little bit bold, but Jetpacks comes in. He wants to turn around the fight. Lots of damage down onto Hase. Is he going to be able to get out of this one? The shield from Catherine doing a great job of keeping him healthy. Ultimately, no one going to take a big advantage off the back of that exchange.
Yeah, so mostly just trading back and forth between the two teams, very much like testing the waters. They want to see how far each team is willing to go, but right now it's still scoreline is staying the same. We have to remember that this is the Seed 2 going up against the Seed 7 in the Catherine group, so both these teams arguably even closer than what we saw in the last series. And already you can see how close these teams are in terms of their skill levels. So really exciting to look this game up. And right now, just having a quick look at these early itemizations, we can see what looks like to be an early Fountain of Renewal beginning to develop for Wrath. And it does look like a bit of an exchange is kicking off in the lane.
Whoa, Jetpacks. He thought he had the advantage in that exchange. He was going right in onto Sasaki Hase, but unfortunately, Luke Me Up was standing in the bush, getting those Glimmer Shots down and really applying some decent pressure. This is what we were talking about before. When you go this Crystal Power build, you really hurt with your poke, especially early on. And that has been working out very well for the side of Midnight Wolves so far.
Yeah, so looking good for both teams so far. Not too much exciting stuff, but right now, I was expecting a little bit more action, I gotta be honest. I was expecting more of a bloodbath when you have somebody like a Koshka on your team. We saw how much work it did in the final game of that best of 3 series between Pixel and Reliable Union, but this game, not able to secure anything, and that really does tell you how talented these two teams are. You can now see that Aftershock being picked up for Jetpacks. That could be the power spike that he was looking for to really kick things off. But hang on a second.
Going to the shop to pick it up. Cost him, though. Luke Me Up finds himself the second kill of the game for Midnight Wolves. And this is one of the problems with the Koshka into a Kestrel. If you are on the front line, it makes it very easy to land those Glimmer shots. No one to body block for you. Raf29 can then not afford to defend Leon in the fights. See Mercilli's starting to pull back a little bit in the lane, too. We've got a decent gold payout collected. Midnight Wolves controlling the map very well at the moment.
Yeah, you have to note that the Frostburn has been picked up from Luke Me Up, so it's going to be very difficult for people to get away from any of those Glimmer shots that constantly come out. The slow is going to make it so much harder, and the kite ability from Luke Me Up is going to be that much stronger. So big pickup for Luke Me Up. Could be their opportunity to potentially look for a couple of fights themselves, but already a pretty dominant performance from Midnight Wolves, as we do see a bit of an exchange up in the lane.
Yeah, one shot, one kill getting fired up there just to maybe give Mercedes an opportunity to pick up a kill onto Leon. He couldn't find it, though. Very nice awareness by Leon to dodge out of that one. Now we've got Jetpacks jumping in here. Mercedes gonna get back to his turret, though, and that actually brings Jetpacks into range with the Yummy Catnip Frenzy. Now Sasaki coming back up here, just making his presence known. You see Luke Me Up as well on the backside, just doing a bit of an exchange with the three members of Prometheus. Got to be careful not to bite off more than he can chew.
And speaking of Sasaki, he's actually running that limited edition Catherine skin, which, gotta be honest, having seen it in competitive play, it is pretty interesting, but obviously it is only limited amount of time, so for those interested, they should definitely check it out while they can, as Mercilli's takes a huge chunk of damage up in the lane.
Yeah, Leon actually popping his ultimate there, mostly just for harassment. I don't think there's any real opportunity to go for a kill. He's burning a lot of mana, or rather energy, in these exchanges, so he's got to be a little bit careful. Mercilli's is healing up a decent amount, too, off that Book of Eulogies. Whenever he last hits a minion, he gets a chunk of his health back.
Whoa, Mercilli's!
Trying to go for the kill, but he didn't realize Raf29 was there. Easy turnaround for Prometheus in the lane, but now Jetpack's getting caught out in the jungle. Can he get away from this one? He's doing a good job of cutting back so far. Luke Me Up. He is in stealth. The Glimmer shot might go for more, but he is going to go down to Leon. That is an impressive kill streak for him. Sasaki also falls, and a very nice play coming out of SK Prometheus. They even up the kills 3-3, and they actually take a gold lead.
So that was a good rotation coming out from Leon and Raf to help support Jetpacks out. But what a play from Luke Me Up. Being able to get the active camo, I felt like he was going to turn that fight around, landing the Glimmer shot while they were in the radius of the active camo, getting that stun. He didn't actually land it onto Leon. But Hound, speaking of Leon, he's taking quite a lot of damage, trading with Mercilli's.
There's a lot of Heartbreak stacks on top of him right now. Mercilli's going for that execute, doesn't quite gauge it correctly, but on point finishes up the kill. He is able to finally win out in that 1-versus-1. You can see really Blackfeather coming into his own now, but he's picked up a few of these component items, which are so good on him.
So, this was the action that I was waiting for. They finally decided to kick things into gear after picking up those items. They were like, right, let's fight now. This is the time for us to really start skirmishing around the map. And you can see how close these fights really are between the two teams. Positioning is going to be so important as the game progresses. Luke Me Up needs to be very cautious about staying on the outside, making sure that he's not in a position to get caught out by Jetpacks. And speaking about getting caught out,
yeah, Jetpack's overextending a little bit there, trying to put pressure down into the enemy jungle. But Mercilli's and Luke Me Up had his number, were able to do a decent chunk of damage to him. You can see really the poke coming out of Luke Me Up is substantial at the moment. You can just check bushes with it, lay down some hurt. But here comes the engagement. That's going to be Yummy Catnip Frenzy onto the back line. Luke Me Up struggling to get out there, and he does go down. Mercilli's, he's got to use that Rose offensive very defensively to get under his turret. But that is going to be enough to save his life. Prometheus not finding any more kills. However, the gold mine going to be the target for that.
Yeah, that was a nice pickup for SK Prometheus. Finally able to equalize the kill score once more and get themselves a nice gold advantage. Big chunk of damage comes down onto Jetpacks, but that does mean that SK are going to now get more control over the map. And this is exactly what they need to do. They're in a position to really go for these early skirmishes. Yes, it's going to take a little while for that Vox to ramp up, but you can already see the alternating current has been completed. He's also gone along with that reflex block, which does make quite a lot of sense when you're going up against the Catherine. Want to be able to deal with that heavy crowd control that she does provide. So once he picks up his next item, which I do expect to be a Broken Myth, that is really when SK Prometheus are going to come into their own.
Leon taking a lot of damage there, but he's baiting in for the rest of his team. Mercilli's trying to get out of here. The on-point shield saves him for now. The turnaround, Luke Me Up, doing a lot of damage here with the Glimmer shots, trying to go for some kills. One shot, one kill, not landing. Actually being blocked by the turret there, so it's not going to find any kills. And 2 recalls coming out of Prometheus just to get them some health back. Buy some more time before Luke Me Up can get arrows back, get some more Glimmer shots down. Mercilli's actually committing to the turret a little bit more than maybe he ought to right now. Raph 29 doing some good damage there. Got to be careful of those execute stacks.
He needs to be careful of this in a 1 versus 2.
Yeah, that is going to be the ultimate coming out of Leon. Easy pickup for him. You can't stay that long by yourself. Now Sasaki Hasi trying to get out of here is going to make it to his turret. Scout Trap not going to pop onto Raph. Good ultimate coming out of Sasasi just to buy some time. Maybe give Luke Me Up a chance to find a kill, but he doesn't have the damage, and it's a little bit too risky for him to stay that far up.
So SK Prometheus able to get themselves a pick due to the mispositioning coming out from Mercilli's, and he's really not respecting the positioning of SK Prometheus. Not very much vision for the side of the Midnight Wolves right now, and if you don't have that vision, you can't afford to be playing that aggressive. Yes, you were able to win a 1 versus 1 earlier on, but you're not going to be able to do that every time. They're now starting to expect it. They want you to go that aggressive in the lane so that they can punish you for it, and that is exactly what SK have been doing, and they've been doing it very well. And right now, Leon is getting to a point where his damage is getting too difficult for Mercilli's to deal with. But Broken Myth now being picked up for Luke Me Up. This could be his go signal to look for a couple more fights. That is a big item pickup that is going to do so much damage to the lineup of SK. And here we go.
Though. He's going to get that double stun, lots of damage, but the problem is we don't have Mercilli's here yet. That's the first kill going over to SK. Can they kite back from this Black Feather? Gauntlet goes down, Sasaki falls on the front line. Merciless is still alive though. He's looking for the first kill onto Jetpacks. He gets it. He could easily clean this one up, 1 versus 2. If he can just get the kill onto Leon, he finds it. The reflex block buys him a shield.
No way.
1.2. Oh, he nearly gets it, but Raph 29 is just a little bit too strong right now. Finds himself the ace, and that is a good opportunity for him to clear up this massive wave in the top lane.
So Mercilli's a little bit late with the rotation down into that team fight. If he just come a little bit sooner, they may have been able to come out ahead, but still, considering how initially that was a 2 versus 3, and they're still able to pick up 2 kills, they've got to be okay with that exchange overall, and you're really starting to see the damage that Mercilli's is able to put out if he can get that positioning off, if he can focus down the right targets. Some very impressive stuff coming out from him, and the action's not over yet.
That was a nice ultimate coming out of Catherine. Bought a little bit of time. You can see the gold mine stolen away there. And actually the disengage was successful by Midnight Wolves. So very nice play by them. They get themselves a gold mine and they get out alive.
Smart rotational play, exactly as you identified. They realized that the rest of SK Prometheus were not in a position to contest. They knew they had the damage to take it down quickly. Picking up a decent gold chunk as well as that vision control around the middle half of the jungle means that they are going to have some good control over the map right now, as the ultimate does come out onto Leon, but unfortunately not going to quite connect. And the Crucible now being picked up for Sasaki. So that's going to be doing a lot of work in these next 2 team fights. It's all about the time that he uses it, as the active camo gets used by Luke Me Up.
Yeah, he's got to be careful not to do the similar kind of play to last time, though. You still don't want to fight just because you can get a 2-man stun if after that you are going to be in a bad position. Right now, Midnight Wolves rotating up to this lane. Could be looking for something onto Leon here. They do have a lot of damage behind them. Jetpacks jumps in, immediately gets stunned up, and has to back out. Nice reactions there from the Midnight Wolves.
Gotta be honest, I'm very impressed with Luke Me Up's use of the active camo. He's always preempting these fights. Oh, hang on, look at the poke coming down!
Whoa, reflex block at the last second buys him some time. Luke Me Up trying to dive behind the turret to find that kill, but very low on energy. He doesn't have the ability to keep spamming out these glimmer shots for too much longer.
Wow, some impressive stuff, and this is the poke that we were talking about. Once he lands the first glimmer shot, it is so difficult to escape from these consistent frostburn procs that are always coming out on top of you. Very impressive stuff, and right now this game is still insanely even. No turrets have dropped for either team. The Kraken has just spawned. The gold is insanely even. Man, I was not expecting this sort of play, but it really shows how talented these teams are coming into the round of 32.
To be honest, there's been a lot of games like this where we expect the favorites to kind of rock and roll over the enemies, but it's not panning out that way. Jetpacks is going to get caught out here. Leon as well might be engaged upon. There's a Yummy Catnip Frenzy, but that's actually onto a Catherine, not the target you want to be looking for. Mercilli's on the backline, finds that first kill onto Leon, going on to Jetpacks now. Reflex block isn't going to be enough of a shield to stop that execute damage coming through. 2 quick kills picked up for the side of Midnight Wolves. They're going to be looking for this turret.
Wow, impressive fight coming out from Midnight Wolves. Really doing a good job of being able to pick up that kill. And it's all coming back to that positioning and not quite being able to land those reflex blocks at the right time. They're going to be able to pick up the turret off the back of that. That is going to be the first turret of the game. And they're even posturing around this Kraken. Only Jetpacks has just respawned. He's not going to be in time to contest this Kraken. And this is going to be an easy pickup for Midnight Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, they could not have asked for more off the back of that fight, basically. Getting a Kraken, getting a tier 1 turret, and finding themselves 2 kills is a great spot to be in. They've actually taken a gold advantage for the first time in a while, sitting about 300 in the lead. Obviously, that is not a substantial amount. That is one tier 1 item, basically, but that is still something. It does mean that they have this Kraken. They're going to be able to go for a big push here.
Right, so have a look at the infusions picked up for both teams right now, and it really suggests that once those have been picked up, that fights are going to be kicking off soon. The poke coming out from Luke is a lot as they siege onto the second turret of SK Prometheus.
Yeah, I love what they're doing here. They're really softening everyone up before they commit to these fights. It means Mercilli's can just jump in, go for the execute early on, and get the resets off the back of that. They're playing this composition extremely well, and you can see Prometheus, they feel like they've got to do something, but they just can't find an opportunity. One shot, one kill actually does land onto the back line, finding RAF29. Mercilli's jumps in, is going to get locked up by the Yummy Catnip Frenzy, but Jetpacks cannot do anything by himself. The Kraken still at about 75% health. This push could be huge for the side of Midnight Wolves. Prometheus, they're trying to defend. They find Mercilli's. Luke Me Up, locking himself into the animation for Glimmer Shot does mean that Leon finds some more attacks. He gets those double kills, and now they can just clean up the Kraken. It has got 1 turret kill in the base, though. Can it find the second one? I'm not sure they can kill it fast enough. This is a huge opportunity for Midnight Wolves moving forwards.
You have to be careful, though, because this just brings me back to what happened in our first series of the night. People are not respecting the comeback potential that have come as a result of the changes to how shutdowns work. So it is so possible for these massive comeback opportunities off of a back of a bad siege to try and end the game. SK Prometheus now, they're able to pick up some major items. You saw how much damage Leon was doing with that Vox at the end there, thanks to picking up the Shatter Glass, picking up the alternating current along with the Broken Myth. You can even see a Warhorn being picked up now, so they are going to easily be able to kick off these fights. They have plenty of damage to follow up with, and this could be the way for SK Prometheus to get back into the game. Teams overextending with that Kraken is becoming more and more of a problem that they're just not respecting due to this new comeback potential.
Oh, both the teams waiting just next to each other here. Mercilli's going to peek out of the bush, go for that on point. Good gauntlet coming out of RAF29, but is it going to be enough? Look at how low everyone is on the side of Prometheus. Jetpacks has his life saved by RAF29, but they are going to have to book it out of there as Luke Me Up and Sasaki are both still very healthy, trying to fish for some more kills here.
So I like the fact that Mercedes has gone for this Fountain of Renewal, because he realizes that by being on the backline, a lot of focus is going to go down onto him. By using that, he's able to sustain himself for longer during these engagements, and it's just easier for him to stick onto the backline. Yes, he fell, but thanks to some great positioning coming out from Luke Me Up, he was able to sit himself on the backline, get the poke down that he needs to, and they ended up trading 1-for-1 overall. Right now, you can see Luke Me Up and Sasaki sitting in the bush looking for a pick.
Jetpacks. That is not the bush you wanted to check, buddy. That is a lot of damage coming out. He is going to Yummy Catnip Frenzy back onto them, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Luke Me Up. He's trying to kite backwards. We've finally got Liam getting in here. They're actually managing to pull this one off. Jetpacks is still alive. He gets out of there with a Vanguard from RAF29, and SK Prometheus managed to bring that fight back in their favor.
Oh, Luke Me Up. Yes, he gets the reflex block, but it's just a little bit too late. He's still stunned up for the entire duration of the Yummy Catnip Frenzy, and that was enough for them to be able to turn the fight around. With Luke Me Up out of the fight, the damage from Sasaki just isn't enough. They are not able to get the kill onto Jetpacks, and you can see why this guy is so talented. Now, they have reclaimed the gold advantage, they've reclaimed the kill advantage, and SK, all of a sudden, looking back in control of this game.
They really are, and with the Kraken spawning now, they have a big opportunity to get vision for it and facilitate the taking of it slightly later on. We do have the respawns coming in for the side of Midnight Wolves, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to get to this Kraken in time to stop it. Maybe a one-shot, one-kill could steal it away. It's going to be all down to Luke Me Up right now, but he's not going to fish for it, and as a result, Kraken is unleashed for SK Prometheus. Mercedes as well might get caught out. There's a big silence from Sasaki. Mercedes is alone in the middle of the fight right now. Finally, Sasaki backs him up. You can see Koshka on the sideline jumping onto Luke Me Up, but he's just going to turn around, go back, group up with his team, and Luke Me Up ultimating towards his base. Not sure what was going on at the end of that fight. Very big opportunity for SK Prometheus now.
The damage from Leon is just too much right now for Midnight Wolves to be able to deal with. We've talked so many times about the potential of a late game Vox, and you are seeing it right now. His mobility and his damage is absolutely insane, and there is no answer for it. Yummy Catnip Frenzy comes out.
Luke Me Up staying next to the turret, maybe thinking he could do some defense, but he had no energy. He couldn't even Glimmer Shot. At that point, concede the turret, go get your energy back, and then try and do something. With him dead, there is no way, no misplay that can be made by SK Prometheus to bring this game back, and they are going to take the first of the series.
And this is the comeback potential that you have from overextending, trying to get those Vein Crystal turrets that end up costing you the game. Very well played from SK Prometheus. Once they were able to get those items, they played those team fights beautifully, and they were able to get a fantastic comeback. Leon, 14-4-2 that game, 12,500 gold. He was so strong, did so much damage, and I am looking forward to seeing how Midnight Wolf can turn things around coming into Game 2 of this series.
All right, well, to talk us a little bit more through that game, we're going to pass over to our expert, Rome. Take it away, buddy.
I'm here. 1 second. Sorry about that. Yeah, definitely. What a close game this was. Like, we're getting to see like this degree of competition as the days progress, as like every day that the tournament goes by, these games are getting more and more. And the thing is, it just started yesterday. This just comes to show how much the degree, like in terms of skill level, has begun to like get a lot closer and closer. And this is much further compared to like what we had like 6 months ago. Coming up into this next game, I'm looking at, for entertainment purposes especially, I do want to see SK Prometheus opting out for different bans. They have one of the best, probably the best Sky players across all the regions, and this is something that we should be able to be like seen on stream today. This is something that will very much please the viewers, and hopefully like a lot of people are able to pick up on how well she can be played with such a high skill cap player.
Alright, thanks a lot for the insight for that first matchup, and I think their sister team is playing parallel, and there is some information on that, Donjon? I think you just received SK Chimera, is it?
Yeah.
What's happening there?
Yeah, SK Chimera actually lost their first match.
What?
So things were not well. They looked good doing this matchup for Prometheus, but it was exciting and it was close. I never would have expected it that it can actually go so close in the round of 32 against one of the most highest seeds in this tournament.
Who are they facing in which bracket? Let's quickly take a look at what's happening there, if that's possible, on the fly.
Yeah. Of course it is.
There we go. So this is the bracket, and let's have a look for SK Chimera. Not here. Adagio bracket, not here. And there we go. Roses of Death. Do you remember me saying this team, young, talented?
I don't remember.
I did say that earlier. So this is crazy. MYQ here, the captain, Rocco as medic, Illohawk, Red Wolf versus Justman and his teammates. So Azata here, known in the German community, not the worst player actually. He is pretty skilled, and that's what I'm talking about. Great match here, seed 4 versus 5. We will definitely keep you guys up to date when we get the news in. And in the meantime, I'm telling the team to start the ban process here, because everyone wants to know if SK Prometheus can theoretically struggle in the second game. So we will see about that. And we do see here a couple of updates already, I think, in a couple of regions here. There we go. Rebirth of Empire going here into the next round next Saturday versus Original Gangstar. And we do see here Snow Tsunami, and we will see Rebel Jaguar or Angry Pandas Black. Whoever is going to make it here, we will know later. On the Ringo bracket, Snow Avalanche is going in the next round for next Saturday, round of 16, and they will either face the Night's Watch or Angry Pandas White. So 2 Angry Pandas, very excited to see that. Team iPod here having a long team history, but a couple of roster changes in the past we will talk about once we see them live on the stream. They will face Sultans or G2 Kinguin. Good matches in whole Europe, in all the brackets. So let's jump actually into the bans and draft. We are ready to kick it off here together with some analysis from Rome. There we go. SK Prometheus here is actually now the other team, so it's vice versa, because I think last time they sit on, let me quickly recap, because there was something going on, like it was right, but they were in-game changed.
Yes.
So
that is basically also why the overlay was swapped.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So everything is right, basically, but don't worry about this. So we just quickly remove it here. Don't worry, everything is fine. We will just continue from here. We have the first ban. Jetpacks is calling out the Black Feather ban. Rome, what do you think about that? A little bit too scary from the Midnight Wolves?
Yeah, Black Feather, like, it's an awesome ban coming out of their part, because we saw on the other team, it was so balanced throughout. They had Black Feather in the lane that had an easy time because Kestrel was dominating a lot of out of the Koshka plays early in the jungle. And this gave them such an advantage to keep the game very close throughout the game. Like, they almost won it in the end.
Alright, so here we go. And the other ban from Midnight Wolves is Kestrel. So we have Black Feather on the left-hand side. SK starting this time with the ban. Midnight Wolves is going to ban Kestrel. And the first pick here from Jetpacks representing SK Prometheus, it is no one else than Adagio. So Adagio, we have seen the strong potential here from Mediapixel. Do you think it's like, what kind of strategy, how do you open a draft, like where do you tend to actually with an Adagio opening, Rome?
Adagio is an awesome first pick because he, in my opinion, is the best flex pick throughout the entire hero pool. He can be played in lane, jungle, or in roam position. And Adagio is one of those heroes that we do see a lot coming out of the SK teams. They use him in such a variety of different positions where they're able to like play around him. They know what to build on him to be able to benefit the overall team compositions.
Alright, so that sounds like a smart choice to me. Midnight Wolves here, they are going for their first 2 picks, and this is no one else than Arden and Sky on the Midnight Wolves here. Arden and Sky against the Adagio, is that what you would have expect here from the Midnight Wolves, Rome?
Yeah, definitely. Like with Blackfeather gone, with Castro being banned already, Sky is probably like one of those top picks that you have to secure. And because they were able to pick 2 at once, they came up with the second pick of Arden, which was even better. Like this makes the team composition so well. But looking on the team of SK side is now this is like the perfect opportunity for Jetpacks to be playing this Cruel. Or they do have an option of opening up and picking a Saw and a Finn, which they actually run very well too with that push comp.
So SK Prometheus here finally made their choice. It is Catherine and Ringo on the side from SK Prometheus. So that looks pretty solid. I think Catherine can be the right choice together with Ringo is an interesting thing. So Adagio, Catherine, Ringo, tell me a little bit about that composition from SK here.
So I've mentioned before that I do have a lot of experience playing with these guys. And the funny thing is I've seen Leon play Catherine in the lane and go about 17-0. So I can't for sure predict what they're going to do with like how the positions are going to be played. They can either play Catherine in lane or they're going to go with Adagio Catherine in the jungle. And it works out like really well in the end as long as they're able to like know how to position themselves where Adagio is not always in the front line, because once Adagio dies, all that heal, all that buff is out of the picture for their team fight. And you don't have a hero that's able to reposition Ringo other than because Arden's on the other team. So you have only Catherine that has a stun for peel. So with their comp, they have to be very aggressive. They have to be able to jump in, spam their abilities, and try and burst down the enemy team as fast as possible.
Alright, and now Midnight Wolves here running up their roster as we can see on the screen with Vox. So we have Vox, Sky and Arden. Last thoughts before we jump into the match, Rome?
We might be seeing Sky played as a weapon carry this game, and this is something that's I've seen only a couple people pull off, and it's a very viable comp. We know Sky to be being played as a crystal carry most of the time, but what people are trying to they lack the perception of is Sky is also very great being built as weapon, especially when she's able to be itemizing core items like Breaking Point that does so well later into the game.
Alright, thanks for your thoughts. We will jump immediately into the game. Just 1 second, and then no one else at Action Jackson Videos taking it away for you. Second match, SK Prometheus versus Midnight Wolves. Take it away, guys.
All right, thank you guys very much. Once again, we're heading on to the full. Right off the bat, you can see Marcili's really struggling in lane at the moment on that Vox. My name's Action Jackson, joining me is Vedius. Let's get this game underway.
Yeah, if you guys weren't familiar with us, we do quite a bit of casting for Vainglory, and we are here bringing a pretty exciting match. You have to give credit to Midnight Wolves. They did put up quite a bit of a fight in Game 1, and they almost had the ability to close things out, but a little bit of an overextension, not respecting that comeback mechanic, as well as that 2 versus 1 that came out from Jetpacks on that Koshka in the jungle. Pretty impressive stuff from SK to be able to pull things back and secure Game 1.
I tell you, they have some incredible talent on their team, too. We were just talking about this during the little break. Leon, he's only 14, and he's just so good. It kind of upsets me, actually. I'm like 10 years older than him, and I just, you know.
Hey, we're good in our own right. That is, we're just good in a different ELO category, that's all. But nevertheless, you have to give credit to this guy. 14 years old, already playing at arguably the highest level of Vainglory, and really doing a fantastic stuff. He even got a 14-4 score last game, I believe, and really showing why he deserves a spot on this lineup. Right now, though, we do see both teams posturing around the top half of the map, potentially trying to set up some kind of a gank onto Leon, but he's actually doing a fantastic job of freezing the wave in his half of the lane, meaning that if Mercedes wants to get that farm, if they want to try and set up a gank, it's going to be very obvious, and they could get punished for it. So very smart play coming out from Leon in the early game.
And I like that Raf's up here just backing him up too. They just want to make sure that Leon in the early game, which is, you know, when the Ringo should do well against a Vox, is actually able to do that rather than getting ganked again and again and things turning around. There's the gank coming in from Raf. He can also put the aggression down himself, and you see Mercilli's off the back of that one engagement lost so much health.
Have a look at Jetpacks, though. Currently doing a bit of solo jungling. You can see that he's a little bit paranoid of Luke Me Up on this Sky, wandering into his jungle, but he is going to be fine. Look at this farm difference you can already see developing in the lane. Leon sitting at 31 farm to the 16 of Mercedes is really starting to hurt him. Mercedes going to go back. He's going to buy himself some items, and I'm actually curious as to how he's going to itemize this game, because it looks to me like Luke Me Up is going to go for a crystal power build. And that potentially means that Mercedes may very well go for a weapon power Vox, which is something we haven't seen for a while. So I'll have to keep a close eye on how he decides to itemize as the game progresses. Leon finally deciding to pick himself up some items, so he's actually going to go for a very early tension bow. So I think we know how SK want to play this game.
That's obscene. I get my tension bow at 10 minutes.
That's why you're on this side of the caster desk.
That is why I'm behind the microphone, not behind the tablet or the phone. I don't know which one Leon plays on. He probably plays on like a completely different device.
Considering how good he is, he probably does both at the same time. That's what that's what I would expect from a talent such as himself. But regardless, moving back into the game, they're trying to set siege onto this turret. They're putting a lot of damage down. Leon trying to use this item spike that he has with the tension bow to his advantage, but they have had this opportunity to take away the minion miner on the back line. So very nice proactive play coming out from Midnight Wolves to try and take advantage of the positioning of SK.
Yeah, I have to admit, I like the way that they've decided to play this. If you can't fight them, just don't, and, you know, go steal away some camps instead. If they do get pincered in here, they could be in a tough spot. But I like this as well. Leon pretending to disappear. What? That was a burst! Wow. Leon, with the tension bow, plus the damage boost out of Adagio, just melts people right now. Mercilli's didn't have a chance.
He certainly didn't, but Mercedes really shouldn't have been that overextended in the lane. He knew that SK were in his back half of the jungle, and overextending that much is just a death sentence. Right now, though, a fight is going to kick off.
Oh, it doesn't quite land to get the CC onto the Sky. Luke Me Up, speaking of which, is going to try and juke back here. Leon popping those boots to build some distance. You can see Luke Me Up falls on the flip side. Sasaki is very low. The stun comes out from Catherine. Jetpacks only needs a few more attacks, but he can't quite get close enough. We are going to see a disengagement now from SK Prometheus. They've got the advantage they were looking for, and they are just going to back off.
Luke Me Up, though, with that Suri Strike, actually did a huge amount of damage down onto Leon, and he had to quickly get out of that situation, otherwise he would have lost his life. But SK, being able to secure themselves a kill off the back of that, really demonstrates how confident they are in this composition. They know exactly what fights they can take and their limitations, and they pull it off beautifully. Speaking of team fights, Raf picking up that Fountain of Renewal means that they are going to have a
kill.
Whoa, hang on, there's a fight in the top half.
He found that kill, 1 versus 3.
Wow.
Which I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah, just a bit.
Raf is going to be struggling a little bit here, though, with Mercilli still alive. This is one of the problems with the composition that SK are running. If your main threat dies, you don't have too much in your back pocket to keep on fighting. Leon is basically the majority of the damage for them, so it's certainly important that they keep him alive. Make sure that...
You say that, but we did see an Adagio 1v1 a Ringo earlier.
Later on, when he gets a bit more damage, it can happen, but that Adagio was lane, so he had a lot of gold in his belt.
That is very true.
This one, you know, not quite as much. Certainly not as much as Leon, who's sitting at 62 farm right now.
You can really see they're putting the emphasis onto him as a fight kicks off around the gold mine.
No steal comes through for the side of Prometheus, so an immense payout is collected for Midnight Wolves. Very nice for them. They need to get all these small advantages that they can. Still sitting about 2,000 gold in deficit, though.
Yeah, that was just a positional outplay coming out from Midnight Wolves. They knew that Prometheus wasn't going to be able to collapse in time. Raph did try to go for the steal. And speaking of positional outplay, Prometheus going to use that as an opportunity to just get vision control with the gold miner. They find it easier to protect it rather than to contest it. So picking that one up now while they can makes a lot of sense. Potential flank coming out from Raph and Jetpacks as they sit in this bush. They're waiting for Luke Me Up to walk into their trap.
But there's 3 guys here for Midnight Wolves. Here comes the Verse of Judgment. Does get the 1 stun down. Raph needs to leave, though. You see Jetpacks in a tough spot, going to fall. Leon did not rotate nearly in time to make that play pan out. And that is a free kill picked up for the side of Midnight Wolves.
They were not expecting all 3 members of Midnight Wolves to collapse down into that bush. I think they were hoping that Luke Me Up would just kind of walk in there by himself. That did not happen. They ended up in a 3 versus 2, and he threw the Verse of Judgment out right from the get-go. Wasn't quite able to get the damage down that he needed, and a beautiful death from above split up the team of SK Prometheus, securing another kill for Midnight Wolves. So well played to them.
Yeah, they're doing a good job here, actually managing to get back within 1,000 gold of SK Prometheus. I feel like after picking up that tension bow onto Leon very early, SK could have leveraged it a little bit better and tried to make some more aggressive plays, but they just haven't found the opportunity. The vision control hasn't been there. They need to up their game a little bit here.
They certainly do, and you can see the gold miner about a third of the way completed as Leon getting a lot of damage down.
That's what I'm talking about. Aggressive plays coming in from Leon and Co. Find themselves a quick pickup onto Luke Me Up. Death from above, not able to save his life here. And see SK, they're just going to be rotating back up to the lane off the back of that. To be fair, not any easy objectives they can take immediately. You know, there's no tier 1 turret anymore.
No, there certainly isn't, but they're mostly just maintaining control around this gold miner. They know that trying to set up for a siege could be very risky. They have a Ringo who, yes, he can take these turrets relatively quickly, but they're primarily building around Leon. You can see by going for the Frost Guard on top of that Jetpacks, he's building more towards utility, and he's been like, all right, Leon, we're just going to keep you alive for as long as possible. We're going to rely on you to just throw out that damage, and as long as his positioning is good, and as long as Raph can get the stuns down onto the right people, it's going to be a repeat performance of exactly what we just saw there, where Leon ends up 3-shotting Luke Me Up. So if fights keep going this way for SK, this could be looking like a dominant 2-0 coming out for SK Prometheus.
It absolutely could. Raph29 actually playing up right now, looking for some kind of engagement. Leon gonna lead the charge onto Luke Me Up yet again, just popping him down with a tremendous amount of damage. Here comes the Verse of Judgment, lands the stun onto Sasaki, but it's a little bit risky to dive under the turret all the way here. They're just gonna try and get that damage down, maybe find themselves that turret kill. Hellfire Brew going on to Mercilli's, not enough damage to pick up the kill though.
Wow, so the buff from Adagio on top of the Leon really is insane. He just melts through Luke Me Up, and constantly having the numbers advantage means that it's very easy for them to set up these sieges and take away these turrets. That's now a 2-turret advantage in the favor of SK. They're going to steal away some of the backs and steal a lot of the jungle from Midnight Wolves. They are in so much control of this game. You can see the gold miner as well about to give a full gold payout, and some major items have now been picked up for SK.
They have indeed. Leon picking up that Sorrow Blade is going to be a big one. He's got a kinetic shield too, which is excellent against the double crystal power build coming out of Luke Me Up and Mercilli's. I feel like maybe going for the weapon power this game would have made more sense. You need to have that double threat to deal with the single extremely potent and well-protected threat of Leon. And now the siege coming in. Jetpack's going to pop that Warhorn. Luke Me Up, caught out here. Very low health. Reflex block buys him a bit of time, but not enough. Mercilli's has to get away as well. Leon diving behind the turret right now. Finds one. He's actually kiting Sasaki out. He's got the heal. He stays alive. He might find the kill on the turret. He doesn't quite get it, though. Man, Leon making plays that I would not have ever even attempted unless it was a mistake.
Leon, just so much confidence on this hero. He knows that his team is there to support him. Look at Jetpack's itemization. He's gone for the Frostburn, and he's also gone for the Clockwork. They're all about getting those rotation cooldowns off. They want to make sure that those heals, that damage is constantly available for Leon, so that he is free to do as much damage as he wants. That's going to be the third tower taken for SK Prometheus, and they're not done yet.
Leon, he face checks the bush, but it doesn't even matter. Again, Luke me up. He has not been able to really even participate in fights this game, getting obliterated right off the bat. Sasaki hit by that Hellfire Brew. The slow not quite giving enough time for RAF-29 and Jetpacks to get in there, I think. Or will they? Not quite. The Vanguard is going to be enough. But man, Leon, he doesn't even care. He just walks into a bush. Goes for the kill.
But again, it just comes back to how confident he is with his team. Death from above comes down.
This time, the stun on the back line is going to mean he doesn't have as much defense for himself, and he does actually fall for the second time this game. Nice job by Mercedes and Sasaki, but it's going to be hard for them to find any more here. Two very utility-centered heroes left who don't necessarily have the option to kill you, but can certainly get away from these sticky situations. I love what Jetpacks is doing with his build here, too. It's so focused on what he needs to be accomplishing. The slow from Frostburn, when he heals Leon, slows everyone around Leon to give more peel, and he can do it more often by getting the Clockwork. It's a very specific build that's working so well.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was alluding to earlier. That itemization was all about Leon. They were like, alright, you're having a great game so far. You generally play pretty phenomenally well. We're just going to build this composition all around you. And you can see with Jetpacks picking up that Crucible, he's just basically telling Leon, hey, you go as ham as you want. We've got your back as the Warhorn gets popped.
Oh, man. Mercilli's just recalled. He completely left his team in the dust there. SK Prometheus, they are 7k gold in the lead right now. The Kraken has not even spawned yet, and they've already taken towers in the base of Midnight Wolves. I'm not sure there's much of a hope here for them. They need to find some kind of a crazy comeback. Obviously, the gold bounty change gives them an option here, but they've got to kill Leon in these fights.
They certainly do, and given how much protection he has, that is the real question, as this could very well be the game-ending push. Leon is the man to keep your eyes on. Can he win this, or will he be their downfall?
Oh, Mercilli's. One more attack. The reflex block keeps him alive. Leon is not going to find it. And with lower health bars on the side of Prometheus, they might need to be careful here. Luke me up, jumping right in. Leon stutter stepping on the back line, doing a lot of damage right now. The Gauntlet stopping the chase yet again. At this point, Prometheus need to back out of here. They may be a lot stronger, but they are also a lot lower on the health values right now. And with Kraken spawning, a wipe on their team could easily mean a comeback for the side of Midnight Wolves.
It certainly could, and this is very smart from SK. They realize that they aren't quite in a position yet to just close out the game, so they're going to put as much damage down, as much poke down as possible, and then they're going to back away. You can see Leon completed that Tornado Trigger along with the Sorrow Blades. He's even decided to fully upgrade his boots, so he's going to be having as much mobility as possible. They are really looking to close things out relatively soon. They're considering starting off this Kraken, but Midnight Wolves do not want to give it away for free, as Wrath has found Sasaki in the jungle. I don't know if they really want to go for this, though. Leon isn't in the fight yet.
Once he gets here, though, it's going to be devastating, and Death from Above has already been used. Sasaki trying to jump onto the backline and find Leon, but look at the damage that he is taking. Now Luke Me Up does land a lot of those 4 barrages onto him, but it's not going to be enough. Prometheus finding themselves an ace, not losing a single member. This could be a game-winning push with 20-second death timers on the members of Midnight Wolves. You know, they had to try. Kraken would absolutely have meant the end of the game, but I think this might have meant the end of the game anyway.
Do you know what was great about that fight? Leon picking up that infusion just before the fight started. He was like, okay, I'm going to quickly grab this and then we can go. And he did so much damage. He completely eliminated the lineup of Midnight Wolves in a convincing fashion, got the triple kill, and secured the second game of this series for his team. 13-2-1. 11,000 gold. That was insane. He played out of his mind. He really was a massive factor as to why they were coming out ahead. But you have to give credit to his team. They built entirely around him. They made sure that he stayed alive in these engagements, and they provided him with so much support. And you can really see the trust in this SK lineup.
All right, well, we're going to pass over to Rome for some more breakdown of that one. It was a crazy series. What did you think of it, buddy?
Definitely, like seeing what everybody in the chat is looking at and how they're talking about how confident Leon's playstyle is, and he knows on his team, their composition, they built pretty much one really hard roamer and one very supportive jungler. And it all comes to show how well they positioned him in the backline to do that massive damage output in the game. He wasn't scared of the other team at all. He played his early game very smart. He does something that a lot of people have to start picking up on, and this is the importance of controlling that lane pressure. Being able to freeze that lane early game when you have an advantage, it pays out large dividends throughout the mid and late game. He's definitely one of the players that we have to watch throughout this entire tournament. And considering his age, we have so many young people in Vainglory across different regions that excel to like the top tiers, and they're pretty much crushing everybody else in their way. I have high hopes for this team and look forward to like the rest of their tournament upcomings.
All right, thanks a lot for the insight here, Rome, our analyst, live from Canada. And congratulations, of course, here for SK and their star laner Leon, of course. Not to forget Rev29 Jetpacks here also with a great job, and Prometheus Rev with a 0-0-12. I think those are stats every Roma can dream of, basically. So they will move on next Saturday, round of 16. We will see who they are going to face. So we have some great news for you. The show is not ending yet. We have a couple of minutes left, so we decided actually to jump into a very interesting match we're currently prepping for you. So there's a third match coming up in another SK match. So let's jump into the studio cam and Don John can tell you the news.
Yes, and we are going to see, as I updated you guys before, we're going to see the third match between SK Chimera, which is I believe MIQ is the team captain of this one.
Yep.
And we do have them playing against Roses of Death.
Yes.
That's the team which I sent the update earlier, that Roses of Death was taking the first one. Apparently Chimera did succeeded in the second one, so we'll jump into a third match, which means basically like we saw it earlier when Media Pixel was running into a third match as well. We will not see any drafts, not any bans, and we will just go into the clean picks, and we are about to start that. And meanwhile, we could actually jump into the updated tournament brackets.
All right.
If I can find them.
So just a second, and then going to jump into that and have a look at the bracket. There we go. So let's go over this. So this is what is happening. Nothing new so far here, but let's take a look at the other brackets here, and then
there
we go. So this is happening, and let's jump to the SK match we are going to take a look at. It's a different region. So SK here succeeding into the next round. Both rebirths are going to play against each other. They have nothing to do with each other. It's a pretty interesting story though. So SK Chimera versus Roses of Death, and the winner is going to face G2 King Queen 2, which is, let's take a look at their roster together with Rome. So there we go. Oh, okay. So we can't see the team here. I think we can if we click here. There we go. Tesfaye, Radix, Quinn, Pips, Majestic. So all those, you know, Radix, Reach, Vainglorious. I think I just saw that tweet. So a talented squad here. And Yeah, that looks pretty good. They are going to face either way SK Chimera or Roses of Death. And let's just wait here for the invite actually for the party, and then we can instantly show you that match. Rome, my question to you, SK Chimera seat number 4, Roses of Death forcing them actually into a third match. So what is going on there, and what do you think about the blind picks? What should be the 1.13 meta?
Coming out of SK Chimera is although we did see Medic do a lot of roaming position while they were playing in VIPL, but the thing about Medic is he has an excellent Ringo, and we saw the Hunters team during their draft picks is they banned the Ringo targeting just Medic, so then that caused their downfall a lot. It made them change their positions around, and ahead of time, like they knew how great of a Ringo player he was. Coming from the other team, Roses of Death. Now they're seated at number 5, which is actually very close to 4. But these guys are a little bit more unknown, although I do have a lot of experience playing with them in ranked matches. Especially, I would highlight a player out would be Redisberg. He's an awesome player, and his fundamentals, where his knowledge of the game and how to play early passive jungle aggression, he knows how to control like the pace of the game a lot, and that helps his team in making the right decisions that accumulate up points throughout their strengths and weaknesses while their compositions are being decided during the draft phase. Going to this last match, I expect out of Chimera is they're gonna have probably a Ringo in lane. Out of in the jungle, they could probably go with anything, but most likely it might be a Koshka. I'm thinking they're gonna probably run out with a Sky or a Kestrel, perhaps the CP across the board in the jungle. And on the other team, they do have a lot. They have a very strong glaive player. I'm not too sure like who they're gonna try and focus up in the lane, but they have to take into consideration, and they probably do know the other team has a very strong weapon carry in the lane. So they'll try and play a bit more passive comp where they can benefit from things like the gold bounties in the late game, how the flow of the game has moved more towards rewarding a bit of patience. And if they're able to choose a composition where they can capitalize off making mistakes and have a bigger comeback, they might actually come out with this one with the win.
All right, so that looks pretty interesting, as you can see here on the scoreboard. And oh, okay. Just I am super excited for that one. It's the third match. Over 1,000 viewers are waiting for that. Who is going to the round of 16 here and facing G2 Kinguin? Very solid roster waiting in the round of 16, and that will be the next match. So we are just setting up the party, just another minute, and then actually we can go back just one trailer, and then we will take a look at the different regions. casters, Action Jackson and Vedius, and then Rome giving us a little bit of insight about this comp post-match. So we are super excited here to hear what he thinks. And hopefully we're jumping into the fold in just another 2 or 3 seconds. Action Jackson, Vedius, take it away.
All right, thanks again for the last time for EU. We're going to be jumping onto the fold. Of course, there's more games later on, guys, with Tasty Bacon, Forecourt Jester as your casters for NA. Right now, though, SK Chimera versus Roses of Death. This is the 3rd game of their series. Whoever wins it will be advancing. My name's Action Jackson. With me is Vedius. Let's do this.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So, just to give you guys a quick rundown of the compositions we have for Medic, Sky, MYQ, we have Catherine, and we have a very interesting name playing Vox, which I'm sure we'll figure out as the cast progresses. Meanwhile, on the other side, we have Asita on Celeste, Justman on Arden, and we have Dark Energy on Sky. So some pretty interesting compositions coming out from either side. We can see that late game scaling Vox once again coming out. We can also see the Celeste going to be doing a lot of work also as the game progresses. So we do have quite a lot of early game in the form of Sky, and that, well, we have Sky versus Sky, so we do have quite a lot of early game in that sense as well. And speaking of early game, you can see them posturing around Asita.
That is going to be a good stun coming out of MYQ. Forward Barrage does a lot of damage there, but unfortunately, without more items to get more attack speed or more cooldowns, Vox just wasn't able to close that distance and find the kill. So they are going to force him out of lane. That denies a lot of experience, a lot of gold, but no kill just yet. Nothing happening too crazy early on.
No, nothing too crazy. So right now we do see both teams. This is obviously the final game of this series, and it will be the final game of Europe, but not to stress because we have more Vainglory action coming up after this over in North America. So right now, things are looking very even across both teams, and I expect if we're going to see any action, I'd likely want to see it coming out from the side of SK Chimera with this Catherine, with this Sky. I feel like it is quite easy for them to set up ganks up in the lane, especially onto a Celeste who really doesn't have that much mobility on this mage. So we'll have to see how things progress as we do see Medic putting a bit of poke down in the jungle.
Yeah, and actually we saw Roses of Death stealing away a forward camp there because MYQ went up to try and back up the Vox, which isn't exactly what you want. Obviously, you'd rather be being aggressive with the Catherine, like you were just saying. So the fact that they had a camp stolen away from them is not ideal. Moving forward, though, it seems to be very passive compared to a lot of the games we've seen so far. Neither one of these teams biting off too much. That is going to be a camp stolen away by Chimera, getting revenge for their forward camp earlier on. Here comes the engagement, though. We've got Aster roaming down, trying to find an opportunity, but Vox is already here. That's a lot of upfront damage straight onto him. We've got Justman taking a brunt of it as he tries to lead the charge. MYQ gets melted by the forward barrage. Medic, what are you doing, buddy? You can't just take your camp right now. There are enemies right next to you. He is going to go down. 2 kills to Roses of Death. Man, I'm not sure why he decided to stick around there.
Well, what looked like a very promising fight for SK Chimera, after having Asita just walk straight into the bush blind, forcing Asita out before she even has an opportunity to put any damage down, resulted in a great exchange coming out for the side of SK. But then Dark Energy gets a beautiful forward barrage that deletes MYQ, and then Medic decides to overstay. He's sitting there thinking to himself, oh, well, they've decided to back off. There's no way they'd chase me into my jungle. But clearly he ended up being wrong and paid for it with his life. So massive misplay coming out from Medic, and that's going to be a 2-kill advantage going over to the side of Roses of Death.
A 2-kill advantage, but only a 100 and now nothing gold advantage to them. They are certainly in a good position moving forwards, but they've got to leverage these advantages that they're building for themselves. They need to make sure they're getting good vision. Taking camps like this, taking the forward camp is a nice way to start that one off. Because obviously later on, that Vox is going to become a big threat on the side of Chimera.
It certainly will be. We've seen earlier Leon doing a fantastic job on that Vox. Once we get to the late game stages, once you've got a couple of items under your belt, you really do start to hit hard. And speaking of items, you can see Dark Energy being the first one to complete that major item with the Frostburn, going to be able to put down that utility as well as a fair amount of damage. So they're going to have to respect that. Otherwise, SK could be in a bit of a dangerous situation as they try to force a fight.
Yeah, Aster actually needing to back off there. He's not too strong yet. You know, he doesn't have too many items or anything like that, so he's not going to be looking for, a proper engagement right off the bat. I'm curious to see where he goes with his itemization, too. Given that there's already a Frostburn on Dark Energy, he might want to go directly for a Broken Myth or something like that to actually allow for him to hit that damage spike earlier on and deal with the Vox a little bit better later on in the game.
Well, speaking of item builds, have a look at what Lohuk has decided to go for on this Fox. He's actually going to go weapon power, which isn't what we saw earlier. So we felt like earlier having that double crystal power was quite easy to itemize against, but mixing things up means that he will have more attack weapon power damage. But hang on a second, Gold Miner is being kicked off.
Definitely could get stolen away here. This is a bad time to try and take it with 3 members of both teams here. You can see Justman taking a lot of damage right off the bat. The gold mine is going to go the way of Roses of Death, and they've also picked up the first kill of the fight, but they're all extremely low. Lohuk on the side needs to be careful. Dark Energy with a great flank over the wall, trying to pick up Medic, but he can't do it. Oh man, the Heliogenesis right at the end there finds the kill. It's Sky on Sky action right now. They are the last 2 standing, and Medic is just going to back out of there. Smart decision, I would argue. A 2-for-2 trade and a gold mine going the way of Roses of Death.
The double Frostburn for Roses of Death worked so well in terms of being able to kite around that fight. Their positioning was fantastic. They prevented both Medic and Lohuk from really getting involved in that engagement. And because they were able to kite around for so long, they were finally able to prioritize down the correct target and come out ahead in that exchange. You have to sit there and think, Chimera, you guys should have won that fight when you had the level advantage. You saw the death from above not really land onto anyone, even though Medic was level 6 well before Dark Energy was, and being able to turn that fight around, really impressive stuff.
MyQ trying to come in here and land that stun down onto Aster. Cannot find it in a good enough position for the team to engage, though. Also nice kiting with that Frostburn, keeping Aster alive. Got 4 kills to 2 right now in favor of Roses of Death, so potentially they can try and snowball this game a little bit. They've got the vision control in the center of the map as well that they can pivot around and try and make plays off of.
They certainly do. You have a look at all this vision coming out from SK right now. You can see all of these scout traps being pushed mostly to the entrance of their half of the jungle, wanting to spot out whether or not Roses of Death try to go for those invade styles of play. With the levels advantage and with the item advantage that they really do have right now, they want to try and push their advantage as much as possible. Notice that Medic actually decided to go for a Broken Myth first item, so really wants to itemize towards that penetration, wants to be doing as much damage in this early game as possible rather than providing that utility. So interesting variation in Medic's build compared to Dark Energy, as Chimera are grouping up in the lane.
But look at this. Justman waiting in the wings is able to get the Vanguard off and give Aster the speed boost he needs to get away from the stun. You know, I have to say, I kind of like the Broken Myth on Medic here. When you've got Lohuk playing the Vox, who's already great at kiting by himself, purely due to the mobility, he can hopefully get away without the Frostburn. Justman, though, might be in a tougher position trying to get out of here. Is going to gauntlet Medic over the wall. Very nice play there, and now MyQ in a bit of a sticky situation. Aster trying to put down the damage. Does have careful forward barrage coming out of Medic, doing a decent chunk of damage here. Justman on the front side. Vanguard's out to try and get away, but Dark Energy gets stunned. Aster extremely low, but he is going to be able to escape with his life. And now the gold mine, the target of the affection of Chimera. They're going for this one, and I don't see any way that will be defended. Immense payout collected, the kills evened up, and a gold lead accumulated for SK Chimera.
Yeah, that was actually a fantastic death from above, splitting up both teams, splitting up the lineup of Roses of Death, preventing them from really providing that support for Justman. And once they'd taken him down, they had the numbers advantage, and it was simply a matter of cleanup from there. I do have to apologize. I felt like I saw a Broken Myth, but in fact, it was just the workings of a Frostburn. So both Skies actually going towards that same itemization. That was unfortunately my mistake, and I do apologize for that, guys. My eyesight is not quite what it used to be. In my old age, I tend to see strange things, and so hopefully we will get that checked out as the game progresses. But right now, the kill score and the goal score pretty even across both teams.
It is indeed only about 4K in it at the moment in favor of SK Chimera. Certainly, or sorry, not 4K. That would be 400 gold in it, which is not a very large amount.
Have a look at Asasta.
Up here. Whoa! That was a lot of damage coming out of Lowhook. He's got that Sorrow Blade putting out some serious numbers. Now the turret going to be the focus.
It certainly is. Nice pickup there from the side of SK Chimera. Now that they were able to finally win a team fight, they're feeling a lot more
dark
confident.
Energy.
And they're going for another fight.
Going in there, I think that was a little bit bold. You can see they've taken a lot of damage, having to back away from that one. Death from above being utilized just to facilitate that escape. But yeah, I don't really know why he decided to speed on in there.
I guess he felt like that the turret was still just at a little bit of health, but it went down just as he went for that engagement, so he basically tried to use the turret as much as possible, but couldn't quite capitalize off of it, and he still ends up escaping with his life. Didn't really lose too much off the back of that, so not that big of a problem. But interesting, let's have a look at some of the itemizations as we're progressing forward. Sorrowblade has now been picked up for Vox, so also 4-1-1, going to be doing a lot of damage at this point in the game right now, and I'm really interested to see how this weapon power Vox works out, because we've pretty much only seen crystal power, and I've been told that Vox weapon power does an insane amount of damage the later the game progresses.
The overdriven A really makes him hit hard. After you use that ability, if it's overdriven, you get 20% bonus weapon power, which is crazy. I mean, that is just so much damage, especially when you already have a huge amount built up. So he is in a great position moving forwards. He has overdriven that ability already, now that he's hit level 9, so he's really going to be chunking people out here.
Alright, so there's the broken myth that I was talking about. I just got it in the wrong order, but finally those damage items have been picked up. Asata has also picked himself up a broken myth on that Celeste, so we're going to be seeing a lot more crystal power damage coming out from both these teams, and I'm super excited to see how things pan out, because both these teams still very, very close. Even though there is a 2,000 gold difference, I feel like it could still swing either way, and it's largely going to be down to positioning and focus. Depending on which Sky drops first will be a major factor in these upcoming fights, but also the damage coming out from this Vox. If they don't deal with it quickly, this could very easily swing the tide in SK's favor.
All right, well, Justman is going to be engaged on straight away here, actually running out of his own gun. Stuns no one. Look at the death from above, doing absolutely nothing on the backline. Medic leading the charge here. Reflex block buys him some time, and now Aster is in a terrible position. SK Chimera picking up a flawless team fight. They get themselves an ace.
I was talking about the positioning being very important, and that is exactly why. Vox was completely free to do damage on the backline without any serious threat. Once they'd managed to get rid of Justman, they then turned their attention to Dark Energy, and it's just cleanup after cleanup after cleanup. Such impressive positioning and teamfight play coming out from SK, and you can really see how well they are representing the SK brand in this final game.
That is a very good point, and off the back of SK Prometheus' performance, which we just saw, you can really see the strength as a whole of that entire org. They might face up against one another later on down the line. Robe was saying he was looking forward to that match. I certainly am as well, but they've got to get through this team, Roses of Death, first, and there's still opportunities for them to turn it around. We've seen an inordinate amount of comebacks over the course of today, so I'm not going to count them out of this one yet. Maybe they can pull it out. We'll have to see.
We certainly have. I mean, the comeback mechanic, I think, is absolutely fantastic. It means that teams who do screw up that final game push will get punished very, very hard for it. It doesn't matter. If anything, the bigger the gold gap, the worse it is. Because if you imagine that there's a 10,000 gold gap and you get 8% plus, then you get about 1,000 gold, and that's pretty much an item. And then once you get that item, all of a sudden the team fights don't seem so one-sided anymore, and that gives you the opportunity to work your way back into the game. So I think teams slowly are getting more used to it as time is going on. Bear in mind, patch 1.13 hasn't even been out that long. So teams still, I mean, I do believe it actually came out on patch 1.12, so teams should have gotten used to it by now, but still, definitely some interesting stuff. And SK Chimera currently leading at 8-4. What are they going to be looking to play around right now? They have full control over this gold miner. Right now, they're trying to set up vision, trying to control the enemy's half of the map, and they might be looking for an engage.
Yeah, MyQ trying to find that stun. Can't get it right off the bat here, but Medic is going to lead the charge. Gauntlet goes down, but Aster is already fallen. This is a huge amount of damage coming out of SK Chimera. Justman wants to escape this one, deny the ace from going down, but the chase is still on. The stun lands, Surrey strike in, and that is going to be all 3 members falling for Roses of Death. Very well played by SK Chimera to secure themselves the bonus that you get when you find that ace. And now a big push threatening here. Kraken's also just spawned.
SK Chimera playing these fights so well. Their target focus is absolutely perfect. It's so easy for them to just dive on top of Asita. They immediately take him out of the fight, and without that Celeste, without that major damage dealer, it is just so easy for them to clean up these fights. Also note the double crystal power that is coming out from this Roses of Death composition. It's very easy to itemize against, and you can see that in how these team fights are playing out. Now with the Serpent's Mask also being picked up for this Vox, he's just going to be doing so much more damage. Right now, they're going to use this as an opportunity after picking up these infusions to kick off the Kraken and potentially break the base of Roses of Death.
Not to mention the crazy vision control coming out of SK Chimera. They know exactly what they can get away with here, and right now, they know they cannot get away with the Kraken. MyQ taking a ton of poke out of Acitor, having to get away from that Kraken damage as well. This is maybe the opportunity for Roses of Death. They're chaining him out, the Frostburn doing a good job, but with that Warhorn, they are able to escape. Roses of Death, they might try and turn this one around, go for the Kraken. It's a bit of a bold decision given the fact that they've been doing poorly in these fights, but they're killing it so quickly. They're actually going to pick this one up, Vedius.
Wow, they actually use the positional advantage that they have as well as advantage to turn that around. We were talking so much about these comeback mechanics, and they've done it right there. That was such a great decision coming out from Roses of Death. They are now in a fantastic position to look to break into the base of SK Chimera. What a great game this is to cast between these two teams. So close, and another engagement is kicking off.
Yeah, they're trying to kill this Kraken right now. The sooner they deal with it, the better. Lohawk on the front line is going to get gauntleted in. MyQ needs to be careful as well, taking a brunt of damage right now. Justman, though, can't find a kill. Great silence out of Catherine. Allows for the fight to be started off here, but Medic is the only damage dealer left on the side of Chimera. He finds one kill. He strikes in. He goes for the forward barrage. He gets it through that neutral creep and manages to pick up the second kill. MyQ, he's going to go back and deal with this Kraken. I believe this is only going to be 2 turrets killed by that Kraken, so actually even turrets at this point with still a big gold lead for Chimera.
Chimera still coming out ahead with these team fights. Their positioning is just still so fantastic. They know exactly who to focus and how to focus them. Their priorities are just so on point. Their ability to kite around these fights is just phenomenal. I'm really impressed with how well they've executed those team fights. And even though, yes, they lost the Kraken, they're going to get themselves 500 gold each off the back of killing it. So now they're going to be even stronger coming into these team fights, and if they lose another one now, there's no major objective to hand back over to the side of Roses of Death. So impressive stuff coming out from SK right now. The question is what they decide to do next. They could potentially look to set up a siege, but that is quite difficult when you're going up against the ridiculous wave clear that is available on this Celeste. Yes, Sky's wave clear has been nerfed a little bit on the most recent patch, but it's still very strong as well. So trying to set up a siege right now could be a little bit difficult for them. You can see a lot of vision coming down. They may be looking to set up a pick, but speaking of picks, you can see Roses of Death trying to set up a pick of their own.
Yeah, they are going to scout out a little bit with that Heliogenesis, which is a nice thing you can do with Celeste, trying to poke onto MyQ. And I have to admit, I think it's pretty impressive how Roses of Death have been able to come back into this game a little bit off the back of that Kraken. The question is it enough? With 6k still being an advantage over on the side of Chimera, they still want to pick fights. MyQ very fast, running in here, goes for the stun onto Acitor, finds it. Just Man melted on the backside. We're going to see Medic jumping into the Surrey Strike. He gets another kill. Acitor, the last member standing. He's going to be able to get back to his base, but the turret is being focused here. It does have the backdoor protection, though. Can they kill it in time? It looks like they should be fine. That's a lot of damage out of the forward barrage, but MyQ needs to be careful not to die on the front line. I think they should just back off, take the win that they've already gotten, and leave. Medic trying to put down more poke. Acitor wants to return some heliogenesis. Is it going to be enough that the stun comes out? I don't know why he left his base so far. That's the forward barrage. Ace comes in, and that is really bad news for the side of Roses of Death. This could be a game-winning push.
It certainly could be. They don't have a minion wave available to them, and they recognize that, so they're going to back off immediately. They realize that they're going to be happy with the objectives that they've been able to pick up. They've very cleanly broken the base now of Roses of Death, and they're in a great position to close out this game. They don't need to be too greedy. They may very well have seen their sister team do a very similar thing of overextending and potentially giving that comeback potential, and they have learnt from that. So they don't want to risk it even slightly. You can see they're just going to shop, they're going to pick up the items that they need. Breaking point now finished for that Vox. But coming back to this fight, they did a fantastic maneuver, which is what I like to call the psych out. You could see MYQ running up and he's be like, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you, Celeste. You think that you're the target? Nope, you got the wrong target. They turn things around, they stun up Just Man, and they delete him off the map. Without their front line, it is just simply an easy matter of cleanup for the side of Chimera. Once again, a beautifully well played team fight, and these guys, I just keep going on about it because how they team fight is just so on point.
Psych, that's the wrong number. Points if you know that video. Anyway, we're seeing Chimera starting off this Kraken again. We saw this before. It didn't work out too well for them. Roses of Death coming in here. The fight turnaround. MYQ, he's going on to Dark Energy right off the bat. Surrey Strike in from Medic. That's a huge amount of damage. Acitor is very far away from the bulk of the fight, trying to get those heliogenesis down, but it's not going to be enough. Another ace comes through for Chimera. They're going to get the Kraken, because why not? And a very easy push should come off the back of this. A hard-fought best-of-3 series, but Chimera looking to take it home.
Yeah, they certainly are. That was just such an easy fight for them. At this point, Vox just does way too much damage for them to be able to deal with. Going for this full weapon power build, I was questioning how much damage it can do. Well, apparently it's quite a lot, as you could see, getting to this point in the game. They don't even need the Kraken. They have both the minion miners, they have a massive wave, they have the ace buff, along with massive death timers, and they're going to take this third and final game and secure a spot in the round of 16.
Very, very nice play coming out of those guys. That was the last game of the night for EU. We are going to have a lot more NA games coming up, but before we head there, Rome, break down this final EU game for us.
Definitely. What we saw this game was, like, the competition-wise is getting so close now where you have to make those certain plays where if you're making any mistakes and the other team is capitalizing on it, you pay heavy dividends in the end. And we saw how large of a lead that Vox held throughout the entire game. He went weapon as a weapon carry this game, and it actually shows because the other team, they have both range carries, and their positioning is so wide apart that without building Crystal, you don't want to be able to hit everybody using that pulse and all those bounces. But instead, he opted out for a weapon build where he can single burst down like each carry at a time, and that worked out so well for them in the end. They had great positioning with especially coming out of Medic on that Sky, and hopefully this is a good step forward for them like throughout the entire tournament. They did lose one game, and of course after you lose the game, you got to put your focus back in. You got to come back into the next match with the strategy, and you got to be like, how are we going to take this game? How are we going to move forward? And that's what they did in this third match here today. They did excellently well. Team fights were awesome, and overall, I have nothing to disagree about throughout the entire item builds.
Alright, thanks a lot, Rome, for your analysis. Great matches in Europe, and that was it with Europe at least, so no long just a trailer, and then we basically continue with VGL North America. I think everyone tuning in from North America is super hyped about the matches and what's going on there. So we will update the brackets during the evening for Europe. If you are interested, check them out. VaingloryLeague.com, click on the menu, select your game and region. And what I wanted to say, the amateur series are kicking off at the moment, so they are in full swing for North America. They were postponed for a day due to some technical bugs, not only here busy, but also at the Battlefy server. So again, apologies for that, but they are kicking off. I think a couple of more teams registered, so that's pretty cool. Has, you know, some negative and positive sides.
Yeah, talking about applications and registrations, I shortly want to give a shout out before all of the EU crowd leaves us. We do have actually our first ever event running in South America. There is still 9 days left to apply. We are currently sitting on 140 applications, which is amazing, honestly amazing. You can compete for 5,000 Brazilian dollars, which is a blast. We partnered up with the God's Eye, who's going to help us running this event and already is doing an awesome job as a community manager of the Brazil region. And yeah, that's pretty much it from my side. So we'll basically be back after a trailer. Big shout out to our casters from EU, Action Jackson and Varius, and obviously also Rome, who will stick with us for North America as well. So don't go anywhere. We will be back after a little trailer or two, talk a bit about brackets and show you the first match.
Yep.